Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest live stream. I hope everybody's having a good afternoon so far. We are going to be doing severe weather coverage for the central and southern plains today. There is actually a slight risk for severe weather for many areas due to the fact that damaging winds will be likely in several areas, in addition to the threat of some large hail and perhaps even a couple of tornadoes. And with that being said, we do actually have a storm right now that is rotating, which we're going to hop over to here in just a moment. We are going to be live here with Connor Croft. He is currently storm chasing and he is on a severe storm right now. Let's go to him first, and let's first go to the tornado possible storm. So as of right now, there is a storm rotating just to the north of North Platte. This is going to be going closer to all these storms for the most part right now are moving north. The storm that we are talking about though is the one that's up here just to the west of the Tryon area. Notice that rotation that we have that's going northwest. These storms overall are moving in the northerly or northwesterly direction, and we do have some rotation right now just northeast of Buck Trail. So we'll have to watch that tornado threat closely over the next several minutes as these storms continue to evolve and move further to the north. All of these storms are firing off right to the east and north of a low pressure system. So overall, a lot of these storms will be going off to the north and northwest. We'll also have some northeasterly moving storms back over in Kansas as we go throughout the afternoon and evening. Connor is currently on a severe storm, so we're going to first hop over to him. He has a pretty cool view right now of the storms there. So he is currently near the Overton area of Nebraska, near the Kearney area. On the right side, bottom right of your screen, you'll see those storms right now all firing up and moving to the north. All of these storms, by the way, for the most part, are severe thunderstorm warned. If we go quickly back over to here, you'll notice we have a large chunk of severe thunderstorm warnings, and it's a very large area that is included in a pretty numerous to widespread severe weather event right now, with damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour possible with all of these storms. Literally every single one of these warnings, even back down in Kansas where these storms don't look impressive, we do have a damaging wind risk right now of up to 70 miles per hour. So all of these storms right now are capable of damaging winds. Make sure, again, if you're in any of these warnings, that you are staying away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. There will be a lot of blowing dust as well. One of the biggest factors in this particular area in the Central Plains is that there is a lot of dust. So we are going to have a lot of blowing dust here across Nebraska and Kansas over the next several hours. And once again, if you are just tuning in, there is a storm right now that is rotating just to the northwest of the Tryon area. This particular storm right here has some rotation. We are monitoring the threat of a couple of tornadoes today. This could be one of those storms that tries to produce a tornado. And the winds right now going toward the radar and away from the radar, still on the medium side of rotation, still a little bit broad in the middle. But with that being said, I would expect this to try to intensify a bit more as it continues to move more to the northwest. We do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, and it's a big one. This is going to include areas near Stapleton, just west of Broken Bow. That is going to be for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. We are already up to 8 severe thunderstorm warnings, and this is a pretty numerous severe weather event that we're talking about right now, from central Nebraska back into Kansas with some significant damaging winds. Let's go back to Connor here on the storm that's back over in southern Kansas near Kearney. So right now, Connor's driving towards this severe storm that's in the Kearney area. Again, damaging winds is the main concern. We are still monitoring the threat again of a couple tornadoes today, primarily in southern Kansas. And I'll be showing you the severe weather outline here in a second. But notice that storm right there. It is a pretty impressive storm. Right side of your screen, very heavy rain. Looks like a lot of blowing dust as well. All right, so Connor's going to be approaching the storm in just a few minutes. Once he gets closer, we will go back to him. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. We have a ton of warnings being shot off left and right now across much of Nebraska and Kansas. Another severe thunderstorm warning just issued for where Connor is actually. This is going to be for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. So warnings are going to continue to get issued here over the next several minutes. Lots of severe thunderstorm warnings, and I would expect a lot more of these as we continue to go through the afternoon. But all these warnings are primarily for the concern of damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. This is an environment where we do have a much more prone potential here for damaging winds. There will be a lot of blowing dust as well, which would obviously increase the threat there for damaging winds, in addition to potential again for a couple of tornadoes. And also notice back over north of the Bucktail area, we do have some rotation on this storm. This is a tornado possible labeled storm, meaning that there's at least some broad rotation. Luckily, this is in pretty rural areas of Nebraska, but we are going to continue to watch this very closely as it does continue to move off to the north. Let's go back to Connor. He has an incredible view here of this storm. Look at this. Wow.
Overly interesting, but it's barely a base on this thing. So
he's currently in the Overton area near the Kearney area of Nebraska.
No tour possible tag on this one.
So just west of Kearney, Nebraska is where Connor Croft is, and that is an unbelievable looking storm. And you can see at the lower levels, by the way, I can't outline it for you, but at the very bottom there, if you look near the roadway, basically looking straight ahead, that is all for the most part blowing dust. So very strong downbursts coming with these storms. We have very strong updrafts, very strong downburst winds, and this is going to continue to lead to damaging winds, and that's also going to lead to a lot of blowing dust as these storms do continue to evolve. And again, bottom right of your screen is another view of that storm. And here's a widespread view right now of all the severe thunderstorm warnings. We actually have been going down now. We're back down to 4, but they are very large warnings in nature. Unbelievable view right now of this storm. That is a lot of rain and a lot of dust.
Elm Creek, Nebraska. Very ominous looking storm. Has a little rotation.
Thank you, Waco, by the way, for the $5 super chat. Will Waco, Texas see severe weather Monday and Tuesday? I am going to have a detailed video on that tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned. But overall, there's going to be a risk mainly for large hail both days. By the way, we are going with 3 different live cams today. We have Connor Croft. We have 2 live cams on Radar Omega on the left side of your screen. In addition to this, by the way, this will not be something I'm going to use too much in this live stream, but I do want to show you a preview of our new stream overlay that we'll be using here soon. It is still in development and it's not complete, but we will have multiple live cams, including the right side of the screen. The warning count is going to drop down to the bottom right, and also severe thunderstorm warnings will be displayed at the bottom of the screen. So a lot of big improvements here coming to the live streams. We're going to go back to Connor because he is getting awfully close to the storm. Again, near Kearney, Oklahoma. Significant damaging winds right now possible across a large chunk of Nebraska. Sorry, Kearney, Nebraska, I meant to say, not Oklahoma. Nebraska, though, and Kansas. The 2 areas where we're watching for some significant damaging winds. That is an unbelievable looking storm. I mean, again, what you're looking at there is, one, again, a lot of dust in the lower levels there at near the surface, but a ton of rain, very strong downburst winds, and that's going to lead to some problems. And Connor's been saying throughout this entire chase so far that it is very windy here across Nebraska. There's a ton of damaging winds coming out of these storms, and again, very strong downburst winds. And this could obviously lead to a tornado risk with these particular storms in southern Nebraska.
You're going to see an entirely new storm. So, like, we're just going to pick them off one by one. Big lightning on this one that I'm about to shoot back west towards, or shoot back east towards, excuse me. So say goodbye to this storm. It looks really
friendly reminder, we do have some rotation bottom right of your screen. That is north of Bucktail, Nebraska.
The next storm, we're going to have to go through this.
And not super strong right now, but there's broad rotation right now, moving north-northwest. They'll be heading towards Route 2.
Winds gusts possible, land spouts possible, even a brief actual mesocyclonic tornado possible.
No tornado warnings yet. I'm surprised. I mean, honestly, this event is kind of crazy already. We have, let me just do a quick measurement here. We have a large chunk of warnings. So about 220 miles of severe thunderstorm warnings right now. That's the legitimate like line here that we have developing across Nebraska and Kansas. All these yellow boxes, again, severe thunderstorm warnings. This stretches right now for about 200 to 20 miles or so, which is kind of crazy to say with this sort of event. But I mean, again, these are all for damaging winds at 70 miles per hour. Again, we have some rotation on the storm north of North Platte, so it's definitely going to be an interesting event today, and we'll definitely see how that tornado risk really evolves here as we go into the afternoon hours. I do think the greatest tornado risk overall will be north of Interstate 80 near Broken Bow. This is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for today. They do have a 5% tornado risk in effect for a very small area, and notice that's actually like right along Interstate 80 and just north of Interstate 80 going towards Broken Bow and Stapleton. North Platte, the Cozad area, and Kearney are all included in a 5% tornado risk for today, meaning that a couple of tornadoes will be possible. And we have that tornado risk, by the way, that goes all the way back down into Oklahoma. So overall, this is a very large area that we're talking about with the potential for mainly damaging winds, but there will be a tornado risk with that as well. And I do think the large hail threat will be on the lower side of things. I really think where it'll maximize itself will be in here, back over near Manhattan, Abilene, and Salina, back over in northeast parts of Kansas. I think the greatest hail threat will be over that direction. Again, Connor Croft storm chasing with us, bottom right of your screen. We will continue to go to him over the next several minutes. And again, we do have 2 live cams, one in Burlington, Kansas, where storms are still a few hours out from there, and Norman, Oklahoma, which might be a little bit of a wild card spot with severe weather later today. We could see some damaging winds and maybe even an isolated tornado risk over that way. By the way, I will be retweeting photos and videos on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. Again, all these storms right now stretching from Route 2 back into North Kansas are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. We will be going full screen once again to Connor Croft in just a moment. Notice at the bottom of your screen, by the way, I do want to point this out. We do have now a warning overlay, which will display any active warnings for different places or different counties. That is at the very bottom of your screen. That'll be very helpful for those that are wondering what state we're talking about in some cases. That's at least one of the big improvements that we are currently making to our severe weather live streams. Also, I do want to thank you to Rose for becoming a Maximum Velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. Will I be live for the solar eclipse? I am not 100% sure still. I was thinking about booking a last second flight to Dallas, but I looked at the flight prices for a non-stop trip for Monday without a hotel or anything. It's $800 right now, so I don't think that's happening. So we'll probably go live, is my guess. I'm not sure exactly how that'll go yet, though. All right, let's go back to Connor. He's again closing on the storm near Overton, Nebraska, just to the west of Kearney.
Big wind. Jeez, man, they were lying with the 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Yeah, the winds right now are quite crazy here across Nebraska and Kansas.
Storm is 100% correctly warned.
We have currently 4 severe thunderstorm warnings, but again, that is spanning over 220 miles across Nebraska and Kansas, with damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour being possible. It's definitely pretty crazy.
Blowing all over the place. Look at that thing right ahead of us.
The winds are awfully strong, even though he's not even that close to the storm, really the core of the storm yet. Unbelievable.
Jeez. Do not take these warnings lightly. It is windy.
By the way, looks like some strong rotations developing. Gonna go back to here. We do have some strong rotation right now developing on this storm that is north of Ringgold and northwest of Stapleton. A strong couplet has just developed in the latest scan. We may see strengthening or weakening as it moves more to the north. Again, we'll be watching this very closely. This is not, I don't think, a tornado possible labeled storm, but there is definitely some strengthening rotation here. Again, notice very strong velocities here going away from or going toward the radar, excuse me. And that's indicating some at least stronger rotation right in here. We'll see what the next radar scan holds for us. us. Also, another storm that is rotating and has been rotating for about 20 minutes now is the one that's back up here just south of Route 2, southwest of Mullen, Nebraska. So two different storms that are currently rotating. We'll be watching both of these very closely, and again, this is what we're talking about. Definitely a chance for a few landspouts as well today with this particular environment. Again, very dusty storms. I'm not seeing anything on the correlation coefficient, but that is definitely something we'll be really watching for over the next couple of hours, is an increasing tornado risk with these storms. And then further back down to the south where Connor is currently located, we do have some other storms down here, but the majority of these are damaging wind producers. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of rotation right now with this bulk of the activity, but we will continue to keep a very close eye on all this activity. And again, if you're just tuning in, Nebraska and Kansas, tons of severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing right now. Numerous damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour are likely, and there will be a chance for a couple of tornadoes. And this is another great view here from Connor Croft on these storms right now in southern Nebraska. Joplin will not be seeing severe weather today, but you might get some gusty winds later this evening. Also, by the way, the alerts at the top left of your screen, those are also new. They'll be way less distracting than they used to be, so just an FYI. We've done a lot of changes here over the last few days for the severe weather overlays. Thank you, Dan, for the $2 super chat. Is Dallas area and Oklahoma area. Main concern for Dallas would not be today, it would be Monday. I'd say really the main concern, though, if you're in Oklahoma, is going to be damaging winds and isolated large hail this evening, maybe a low tornado risk. Derecho potential, I don't think we're going to get derecho out of this, but so far it's been a pretty impressive area of storms, even though these are not super, you know, they're not really supercells at this point. They are, for the most part, they're not supercells. We just have a lot of storms here that are all kind of in a linear line around this low pressure system. It's definitely interesting because we don't really have any organization unless you're back up near Stapleton. Which at the bottom right of your screen, you can see that organization. It's definitely more linear. It's all kind of split apart right now down in southern Nebraska and northern Kansas. But again, I'm mostly concerned today about a damaging wind risk with these storms.
2 miles, I can shoot north.
Yeah, Connor right now is looking into a storm. Lots of dust in this area, lots of blowing dust, all due to the fact that damaging winds right now are up to 70 miles per hour. Very strong downburst winds will kind of spread out at the ground, and that'll lead to a lot of dust kind of kicking up into the air. It's going to make a very dusty situation here across much of Nebraska and Kansas. So Connor right now, again, is in Overton, Nebraska. We'll continue to go back and forth with him. Let's go ahead and go back to these storms, though, and see if we have any sort of rotation embedded in these storms. Again, we've had multiple storms rotating over the last several minutes. The one storm that has been tornado possible warned for a while, the rotation is definitely on a weakening trend. So I'm not nearly as concerned about this particular storm. That'll be going towards the Hyannis area near Route 2 over the next several minutes. We still do have a bit of a tighter couplet that's located back down just to the southwest of the Thetford area. This particular storm, though, still not overly impressive yet. I think really that tornado risk will ramp up more as we get closer to 4:30 and 5 o'clock this afternoon. Lots of lightning with these storms, by the way. We do have an increased risk of damaging winds across this entire area of storms. All these storms right now are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and Connor's already been able to see that firsthand with these storms. They are very impressive cells that are ongoing, anywhere from western Nebraska all the way back into northern parts of Kansas, with damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour ongoing. Storm development is beginning across parts of central eastern Kansas. These watches, by the way, do go until 9 o'clock Central Time. So if you are in eastern or central Kansas, be weather aware all the way up until 9 o'clock tonight. And then the severe thunderstorm watch for most of Nebraska will go up until 8 o'clock this evening. So again, make sure that you are staying weather aware, have multiple ways to receive alerts, and there will be a chance again for a couple of tornadoes over the next few hours. And that is really one of the main reasons why we're live. But in addition to that, we have some crazy imagery right now coming out of areas like Nebraska with Connor Croft. So we'll continue to obviously be monitoring that here over the next several minutes as he continues to chase these crazy storms, really, that are ongoing right now in Nebraska. Crazy setup again today. We have a low pressure system that is just back out to the west and south of these storms, depending on where you are, and that's all leading essentially to this large area of storms that will be developing this afternoon. And it's not just in Kansas and Nebraska, by the way. There will be a chance for severe weather in Oklahoma as we go later into the afternoon. Once the cap kind of erodes there, we should get some supercell thunderstorms trying to develop sometime around 6 or 7 o'clock tonight, and that should lead to a bit more of a damaging wind and large hail risk. So those will really be the main concerns over the next several hours. Let's go back to Connor on the storm again near Kearney, Nebraska. Huge rain shaft, and again, a lot of blowing dust. You don't really see the dust very well because we're not really near that the downburst winds, but if you look on the very far right of your screen, you might be able to see a little bit of that dust trying to kick up. It looks like it's a bit more precipitation. You might be able to see it over this hill once he gets over it. How's it going, fan man? Welcome back. Enjoyed watching the eclipse outlook on Monday. Glad I'll be able to watch it from my house in Indiana. That's awesome. Unfortunately, I'm on the East Coast, so we don't really have any opportunity to watch it. Unless I get a flight on Southwest Airlines for a whopping $800, which I don't think that's happening. I should have booked a flight a few months ago if I was really going to do it, but it's kind of hard to figure out what my schedule would be around this time. With that being said, we will probably do a live stream to some extent on Monday for solar eclipse coverage and maybe severe weather coverage. I'm not sure exactly what yet.
Yeah, I love the position we're in right now.
Thank you, Rose, for the $20 super chat. How's insane? All right, let me just go back to here for a second because Connor's a little bit loud here. All right, thank you, Rose, again for the $20 super chat. How's San Antonio looking Monday night through Tuesday? Convective Outlook has us in a hatched area, but doesn't specify if it's hail, wind, or tornadoes. I can't speak. Overall, the threat for Monday night and Tuesday is going to be large to very large hail. That's really the main concern for those days, and this is going into Tuesday. So again, notice large slight risk of severe weather back down in areas like Texas and along the Gulf Coast. We do have plans to be live for both of those events on both Monday and Tuesday, so again, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. With that being said, large to very large hail is going to be the main concern for sure on Monday. Tuesday could have a bit more of an elevated tornado risk and wind risk, but there will still be the primary concern for large to very large hail. So that is really overall the main concern right now for both days. That includes Monday night and Tuesday. Now, most severe weather should be after the solar eclipse. I don't think we'll have much severe weather during the eclipse. I think a lot of it will be post solar eclipse. So if you have any post solar eclipse parties or barbecues or whatever it might be, definitely make sure that you are staying weather aware. Thank you, Stanley, as well for the $1.99 super sticker, and also thank you, Windows 11 Pro, for the 99 cents. I appreciate it. All right, let's go back to Connor, and I do have to switch something on my screen, so I have to do that real quick.
No tour possible tag on this yet.
The radar will be back up at the bottom right in a second. And Connor right now is storm chasing in southern Nebraska.
Looking for anything that could be spinning. Might be on the front side of the storm too. Might have to plow through this rain.
So I updated my streaming software, and unfortunately, it kind of reset my streaming settings. So I might have to switch those at some point. So, not in this stream, but that might be my stream might be a little bit laggy for that reason. Just an FYI. Hopefully, I can get that fixed at some point, but that has happened, unfortunately. My CPU right now, or my OBS, is using up 50% of my CPU. It never does that. Alright, we'll just roll with it for now. Hopefully we don't have any issues on the stream. What highway is Connor on? I believe he's north. He's not on really a highway. He's north of Interstate 80. So he's on the storms again that are near Kearney right now. Hey, Charlene. Yeah, we had some upgrades to the overall look. Not necessarily on this graphic, but on our main screen. All right, Connor's going over a hill. He'll have a view of the storm here in a second. I do want to show you guys, though, if you're just tuning in, we do have some big upgrades coming to the overall stream overlay. And here's one of them. This will be our dual camera view we'll have here pretty soon. It's not in full force yet, but it will be what it's going to look like here pretty soon. Still some changes to come, but a lot of things are being updated here on the overall stream overlay. This is our temporary one for the time being. So again, bottom right of your screen would be where Connor is, and also again the overall severe thunderstorm warnings and stuff like that will be on the bottom, but that's temporary. We are currently upgrading to a new stream overlay, so exciting stuff. All right, let's go back to Connor.
We're slowly catching this one. See the clouds and the rain getting closer and closer and darker and darker.
We have a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Broken Bow in Nebraska. Ansley, as well as the Sargent area, all included in that new warning for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. As of right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation across this line. We did have some couplets earlier, but rotation's still on the broadside with most of these storms. We'll still monitor that tornado risk as it continues to develop. And again, Connor Croft right now, storm chasing just to the northwest of Kearney, Nebraska, with some crazy looking storms right now here in Nebraska. A lot of them, again, producing downburst winds upwards of 70 miles per hour. And this is one of them, blowing a lot of dust here across the ground as well. Is he westbound on Highway 30? Yes, you would be correct. I guess he is on a highway. My bad. Yeah, he's on Highway 30.
The most intensity.
Yes, Fan Man, there is. There are 3 different tiers for subscriptions on Radar Omega. What's all the pink mean? The pink on Radar is all, for the most part, either heavy rain or hail. Usually both, but it's at least heavy rain. Just means that the radar's picking up a lot of precipitation or even some hail. It just depends on the situation. We usually verify hail with things like the correlation coefficient.
Got some rotation, maybe off to my right.
We got another severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. Brand new warning here for areas near Hastings, Red Cloud. Mankato is also included in this. This is going to be for the potential for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Again, we got a load of severe thunderstorm warnings right now being issued across this entire area. So, again, make sure if you're in any of these warnings that you are going to your safe place, making sure that you're staying away from windows and staying on the lowest floor possible. I know that, you know, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour might not sound that crazy, at least comparatively to a tornado warning, but this would pretty much be the factor of having like an EF0 tornado with these sort of damaging winds. In addition to that, there's a lot of blowing dust, and that is something that you do not want to get in your eyes. So make sure that you are at least going indoors at the very bare minimum. Do not be in a mobile home. Make sure that you're going elsewhere into a sturdy structure as these storms do move off to the north and northeast. Damaging wind gust of 70 miles per hour was just confirmed over in Willow Island, Nebraska as of 3:17 p.m. So these storms, again, are definitely pretty aggressive right now. Let's go back to... I don't know why my timestamp is not on the screen, but let's go back to Connor. Still a work in progress with these overlays. And also, my stream settings are super whack right now. My CPU is being used up like crazy right now.
0 out of 10 road when it comes to bumps. Or 10 out of 10, depending on how...
How'd my exam go? I still don't know yet. I haven't gotten my results. I'm assuming I did pretty good, though.
And lots of water on the road. Trying to hydro.
How am I doing today? I'm not doing too bad. I do have to say, though, I was at Buc-ee's earlier today. Do not go on a Saturday. That's all I gotta say. Buc-ee's on a Saturday just does not mix. I was in gridlock for about 40 minutes. Ooh, look at that cloud of lightning right there. Whoa, look at that lightning too in the middle.
Lightning strike right in front of us.
Lots of lightning with this storm too. Radar's picking up a ton of lightning strikes from western Nebraska all the way back into northern Kansas with these storms. A really solid amount of lightning right now. Again, bottom right of your screen is a wide spread view right now of all the showers and thunderstorms that we have ongoing. Again, numerous damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour are currently happening.
Big CG right behind us.
Thanks, Julie. I'll definitely try to look into that. But as I was saying, do not go to Buc-ee's on a Saturday. I was in gridlock in the parking lot. Like, literally in the parking lot, I moved 800 feet in about 40 minutes today. It was horrendous. Literally, you could not get out of there.
Bro better have A++ tires. Yo, another CG. This thing's starting to ramp
There's a lot of lightning with the storm. Lots of lightning. Not like a lot of lightning, but you know, it's still pretty highly electrified here for the nature of these storms right now. Let's go back to live radar, and again, these are the storms that we are currently talking about. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, so these are the storms again that we're talking about right now. We got plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings across much of Nebraska and as well as Kansas. Most organized area of storms right now is on the northern side of the Nebraska severe thunderstorm watch, where damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour continue to stay likely. Yeah, notice that turning that we have on these storms. It's going essentially to the northwest with these storms that are back up in Nebraska. This is all leading to damaging winds right now, upwards of 70 miles per hour. And again, a low pressure system is back down here to the south. So it's a bit further down to the south, but you get the idea that we are basically looking at a counterclockwise spin with these storms. So that's going to at least allow for a little bit more of an elevated tornado risk today with any storms that are able to get enough moisture content in terms of dew points. Dew points have been a big issue so far this severe weather season, with a lot of these severe weather events that have really led to more busting events when it comes to a tornado risk. This event may be an exception to that. You never know. If we get enough moisture, definitely a possibility that there's a bit more of an elevated tornado risk. As of right now, though, the southern side of where these storms are, back down in southern Nebraska, are not really looking too pretty right now, but I do think they'll become more organized as we go further into the afternoon, leading to a more elevated risk there for damaging winds and perhaps even a couple of tornadoes for areas in southern Nebraska and as well as back into northern and central Kansas. And then eventually this evening, we'll be watching for storms to fire up back down in Oklahoma. As of right now, we actually already have some storms firing up just west of Oklahoma City. So while that happens, we'll bring up our live cam on Radar Omega back out of Norman, Oklahoma. We'll place it at the bottom left of your screen whenever we are on the live radar. And again, we'll have plenty of live cams here throughout the live stream in both Kansas and as well as back over into Oklahoma. And then with Connor Croft, obviously, there in Nebraska. Let's go back to Connor as he's approaching this severe storm right now. Am I going to stream when the solar eclipse is happening? I do think I will be. And that live stream will probably start around, I think, probably around 1:30 maybe. Yeah, it's not 100% sure on that, but I'd say it's like a 70% chance it'll be going live.
Just gotta keep following it. Why not?
Dew points are in the 30s and low 40s. I don't think they're that low, unless you're back up in like central Nebraska, but let me check.
Keep following it, and then, like I said, I'm probably gonna go towards Loop City.
I think they are closer to the mid to upper 40s though. Back down in southern Nebraska and Kansas. Yeah, dew points are in like the mid to upper 40s right now. Further up to the north, they are in the 30s and low 40s. That is for sure.
Yeah, love the corner of this risk.
What's up with the nasty weather and earthquakes? Nasty weather has been pretty common during the springtime. We are getting closer to the peak of severe weather season. And earthquakes happen. Again, there's nothing odd about that, honestly. I know the earthquake that happened in New York surprised a lot of people, or New Jersey, but you know that's something that happens. Even though it happens very rarely, it does happen.
Storm chases. So if you're just tuning in and you're not subscribed to the channel, you want to see more cool views.
It's like talking about the Detroit Lions winning football games. It's rare that it happens, but it does happen sometimes. That would be a more relevant joke about 2 years ago, by the way. Not anymore, it's not relevant.
Our road's got a lot smoother and our storm is looking a lot prettier. Look at that sun. Bright white clouds contrast with the dark rain on the other side of the storm as we slowly catch the storm.
The Statue of Liberty got struck by lightning. Yeah, that happens too. I swear that happens like more frequently than people think. I've seen it happen at least like, I've at least seen 3 separate occasions where it's happened in the last like at least 10 years.
Probably won't get that far northeast, but
by the way, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, congratulations on going to the championship game this year. Sorry for the last 30 years you've suffered, but it's all right. I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm used to winning. Up until this past year.
Slight little convergence zone area. Slight convergence.
Zoom in on Connor's storm. We're gonna see if it is rotating or not here. Bottom right of your screen, that's the one that Connor is on right now. Not seeing too much rotation right now, but this storm definitely has a chance to rotate as it continues to enter a bit more of a favorable environment just to the north of Interstate 80 in southern Nebraska.
That's what I'm hoping these storms do as they get north.
But as of right now, I'm not seeing a ton of rotation on most of these storms, but again, Connor has a spectacular view right now of these storms that are happening here in southern Nebraska.
Miles per hour, and we haven't been catching it, so our only option is going to have to be to go east and intercept the other ones. I don't think, like I've been trying to get
Patriots, how do I unsubscribe? Oh man. Yeah, unfortunately we are horrible now, but we had a good stretch.
What the flip?
What are the concerns for Kearney, Nebraska currently and heading into later tonight? The main concern overall is going to be damaging winds. That's really the main concern here across the board. I'm not ruling out an isolated couple of tornadoes. I think Kearney, though, is really in the zone for severe weather over the next like 2 hours. I think after that you're pretty much done. I know some people have outdoor events happening here across parts of southern Nebraska and as well as Kansas today. Obviously, it's Saturday. We're right before the solar eclipse. Maybe there's some parties going on. Maybe you're, I don't know, doing whatever you might be doing today. Maybe watching some baseball. With that being said, we do have a lot of storms out there. A lot of these are producing lightning, and it is frequent lightning. In addition to that, we are going to be watching for some significant damaging winds out of these storms, upwards of 70 miles per hour. So you want to make sure if you're anywhere here across Nebraska or Kansas that you are staying weather aware today, especially if you are going to be anywhere in the severe thunderstorm watched area, because this is where we're mainly talking about damaging winds and as well as the threat for a couple of tornadoes, lots of lightning, and even perhaps some isolated large hail. And we even have some storms that are firing up back down here in southern Oklahoma. Not really an area that I expected a whole lot of storm activity to fire up today, but we do have storms firing up near the Lawton area. We'll have to watch these as well. I don't think we're going to have too much of a tornado risk with these, but we'll monitor it closely. And again, on Radar Omega at the bottom left of your screen, we do have a live camera shot there in Norman, Oklahoma, and we are going to be keeping a very close eye on that throughout the day today. And again, Connor has an unbelievable view of the storm right now. I mean, he has had some fantastic shots on these storms in Nebraska over the last several minutes, and again, this one right now is near Kearney. It is not really rotating right now, but it is producing a very hefty amount of downburst winds. Lots of rain is falling, and you might even notice at the very bottom, basically on the horizon there, some of that dust that is blowing because of these very high winds that are currently gusting to up to 70 miles per hour. These are definitely some significant damaging winds right now. Is anyone scared the world is going to end on the 8th? You must be watching TikTok. I think we're losing Connor here. We'll go back to Connor once he comes back. And also, we do have a live shot there in Lantana, Texas on the bottom right of your screen. And again, this is basically going to be our new stream overlay here pretty soon once everything is finalized. So really exciting stuff. The one downfall right now is that I don't have a time at the top left of the screen, but it is live, so... but again, as of right now, these are the storms that we have ongoing across central and southern Nebraska, back into northern Kansas. Again, the main concern with all these storms right now is damaging winds, and not seeing, again, a whole lot of rotation with them right now. Had more rotation back up near Broken Bow and just west of there a little while ago, but the majority of these storms for the time being are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Strong storms beginning to develop in central Kansas, and this is an area that I would also watch, mainly for a damaging wind risk, but I wouldn't rule out some large hail and maybe an isolated tornado as well as these storms develop just along and south of Interstate 70 over the next couple of hours, and eventually going towards Manhattan and other surrounding areas. And again, this is where Connor is. He is near the Kearney area, and He is currently actually going into a storm. Let's go to him.
A little bit more based on structure and landspout potential rather than supercell potential. My goal today was to provide the most photogenic stream, and so far, really loving what we're
Surprised that there's no tornado warnings. We wouldn't have any tornado warnings if there's really not much rotation, which we don't have much rotation right now.
We're starting to get to the edge of the precipitation here. I might just keep on shooting north if there's a chance that I can.
Friendly reminder, if you're new to the channel, by the way, make sure to like the stream, subscribe as well to our channel. Stay up to date. We'll be we have a chance to go live literally 7 or 6 days in a row. Like we could literally go live 6 days in a row with how much severe weather is coming. We might go live tomorrow night for like a solar eclipse forecast, or maybe even a little bit of severe weather coverage there in the Mississippi Valley. We also might be going live on Monday for severe weather in the Southern Plains, Tuesday for the Southern Plains, Wednesday for the lower Mississippi Valley, Thursday for the Southeast, and then Friday we should be done. But it could be a very busy next 5 to 7 days. Lots of severe weather coming, though it's not going to be impacting nearly as large of a chunk of the country as we had this past week. It will still definitely be something to watch for. And I'm referencing back earlier this past week where we had over 3 dozen tornadoes within 2 days. It was a very active couple of days where we did have a tornado outbreak, primarily on Tuesday, but Monday we also had a few tornadoes. How's it going, Wilson? How'd my exam go? I've been asked this question a lot. I don't have a clue. I still don't have a grade on it yet, so I will keep you posted. Once I know, I will let you know. I'm assuming I did pretty good, though. These storms will not make it to Wisconsin. I'm not concerned about Wisconsin at all. If I was concerned about it, I would definitely let you know, and I would have probably had a video on that this morning, too, if it was covering that large of an area. My video today, by the way, I was thinking about doing a severe weather forecast. Instead, we just did a solar eclipse forecast because, I mean, I was planning on going live today anyway, so. We're losing Connor, I think, once again. We'll go back to him once he comes back into focus. Again, if you are just tuning in, we have storms that are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour across a very large area. Here's a very zoomed out look here of those storms. This spans, by the way, about over 200 miles, literally from western parts of Nebraska back in northern Kansas, where this is about a 220-mile long gated area here of damaging winds. Now, overall, damaging winds are not in every single spot in this area. It's not a widespread potential, but a lot of these storms embedded in those warnings are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. And even back over near Hutchinson, Kansas, we actually have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued moments ago. That is just north of Wichita. This is going to be for damaging winds also up to 70 miles per hour. Unbelievable how these storms are just really ramping up quickly. And again, we have a very favorable environment here today for damaging winds. And this is another example of that here back over near Hutchinson. I do want to remind you that there are storms developing back down in southwest Oklahoma as well. These are also producing some gusty winds and some lightning. We have a Norman, Oklahoma live cam on Radar Omega that we'll be using here over the next several minutes. So we'll continue to keep a close eye there on Norman. We have a couple of other live cams as well back over in eastern Kansas once storms get over that direction. But once again, lots of storms out there right now. We'll go north to south and check if there's any rotation on any of these. Just to make sure we're not missing any sort of land spout potential, which we might even have a little bit of land spout potential right here, just south of Route 2. Going to be approaching Mullen, and as well as the Seneca area west of Thed Ford. And then further down to the south, I'm not seeing nearly as much rotation in here. We do have a little bit of rotation like on the leading edge here of this line of storm. So most of this is damaging wind potential. And even back near Broken Bow, this storm has a ton of lightning. Look at all that lightning right now, just south and along Route 2. That is a boatload of lightning. Highly electrified storms. Make sure if you have any outdoor plans today in Kansas, Nebraska, or Oklahoma, that you are keeping a very close eye to the sky and have multiple ways to receive alerts, because there is going to be a lot of lightning today. Again, this is Connor live. He is just off to the northwest now of Kearney, Nebraska. Again, this storm right now is producing the threat of damaging winds and maybe also a little bit of large hail. But I think for the most part, these storms are mainly going to be damaging wind producers, and a couple of tornadoes and landspouts will also be possible.
So any funny business in terms of spinny things would probably be on that base. Ooh, that's gonna suck if I get in here. Yeah, on the right side where that light's coming in, that's where there would be anything funny on the ground.
80% sure the world is not ending. The world is not going to end on Monday, guys. Oh my god. It is literally solar eclipse. We had one in 2017. We've had plenty of them over our lifetime. It's happened all over the world. Here's the latest tornado outlook, by the way, for today from NATOcast. So NATOcast is a they're not the Storm Prediction Center, but they also basically make a similar forecast when it comes to tornado probabilities. Notice overall that most of this area is in a 2 or 3% tornado risk area, basically the same parameters as the Storm Prediction Center. So again, low tornado risk overall. There's a 5% tornado risk from the Storm Prediction Center in southern parts of Nebraska. But we're going to go back to Connor for the time being. He has a fantastic view again on this damaging windstorm back over near Mason City, Nebraska. Oh wow, look at that.
That's where I'm looking for spinny stuff.
Look at that lightning strike.
Right on that clearing.
Lightning, the cloud of ground lightning's been something here over the last 20 minutes. There's gonna be nubs with dust under them today. Lots of cloud-to-cloud lightning too. You can kind of see that at the top of the screen. There has been a little bit of cloud-to-cloud lightning as well. A lot of it, it's not super visible, but you do see at least the flashes there. Big clearing on the right. Middle of your screen, there might even be some dust up ahead too. Again, one of the biggest concerns today across Nebraska and Kansas is damaging winds, and that'll lead from the strong downburst winds to dust basically flying up into the atmosphere and kind of spreading apart and then leading to blowing dust. And you do not want to be outside, by the way, when there's blowing dust. It is a horrendous time. I've been in storms before where there has been blowing dust, and my eyes are just irritated for literally hours. It's horrible.
There are a couple of nubs.
Overland Park, Kansas. What part of the state is that on, Charlie? You'll be in Broken Bow on Monday. Yeah, Broken Bow, I mean, obviously not on Monday, but right now is getting pretty significant storms. Bottom right of your screen, those are the storms right now that are rolling right into Broken Bow. We're gonna be losing Connor again. Let's go back to this. And this is what we're looking at right now in Broken Bow. Some pretty significant storms right now producing damaging winds. Again, maybe an isolated tornado risk in here. Lots and lots of lightning though. And again, Connor is within pretty good proximity of this. Again, he's near Mason City, which is right here. So again, right here is Broken Bow, and there's a boatload of lightning, just tons of it right now, flashing across the sky. We've seen a couple of lightning strikes go cloud to ground. It's definitely been something here. Across parts of central southern Nebraska. Now back up near Theodore, we have had a couple of little kinks in this line of storms that's moving up to the north that could perhaps produce an isolated tornado risk. I do think the main concern here, though, is going to be damaging winds with the majority of these storms. I wouldn't rule out a slightly higher tornado risk over the next hour or two with the storms that are going to be developing back along and really around the Kearney and Grand Island area, so near Interstate 80. I do think these storms will have a little bit better of a shot of producing a perhaps maybe an isolated tornado risk or land spout risk, one of the two. And land spouts usually are not really damaging. Tornadoes can be, depending on the nature of what we're looking at here today, which tornadoes are more damaging than land spouts in most cases, but land spouts usually are not nearly as bad. Back down, excuse me, near McPherson, parts of southern Kansas. Do have a severe thunderstorm warning here near Hutchinson for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. So again, be mindful of this. We do have more storms firing up right now in central parts of Kansas. These will continue to ramp up, producing the potential for some significant damaging winds. And every one of these severe thunderstorm warnings right now is producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. So make sure if you are in any of these warnings that you are continuing to stay away from windows and make sure that you are inside at the bare minimum, because these storms are going to pack a punch with damaging winds, blowing dust, and you do not want your eyes to be irritated for several hours after these storms are all said and done. You want to make sure that you're just staying indoors. The severe thunderstorm watches do vary. We do have one severe thunderstorm watch in Nebraska. This one goes until 8 p.m. Central Time. So anywhere in Nebraska, that's when your watch will go until. We have a watch that's ongoing in Kansas until 9 p.m. tonight. And then further down to the south, back down in Oklahoma, the watch that will, or we don't have a watch here right now, but we may get a watch. It's a low chance. If we do get a watch, it'll probably go until 8 or 9 o'clock as well. We have had some storms firing off just to the west of Norman, Oklahoma. Again, we have a live camera right now in Norman on radar Omega, and there is absolutely really hardly any clouds in the sky. We don't even really have any sort of cumulonimbus clouds that are in the vicinity at all. Again, storms are just off to the west there of Oklahoma City, but I would not rule out some small hail or gusty winds, and as well as lightning as those storms do continue to move to the northeast as they continue to head towards the Oklahoma City metro area. So it could get interesting there near Oklahoma City here over the next few hours. 2 new severe thunderstorm warnings have just been issued, and these are going to include areas like the Kearney area and near Grand Island, and another one just issued in northern Kansas. This is going to include the Concordia area near Glasgow. That is for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Another warning issued back up near the Ravenna area near Kearney and Midden, just west of Grand Island. That is also for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. So all of these storms, again, right now that are severe thunderstorm warned, do have the potential for producing damaging winds as high as 70 miles per hour. Definitely going to be a very active afternoon here across the Great Plains. The good news is that this will not be really much of a nocturnal threat due to the fact that almost all of these storms are going to be fighting a very low instability environment and a very low moisture environment. So after sunset, a lot of those ingredients that we only have right now are going to go away. So most of the severe weather is going to be up until about 7 o'clock or so. And here's again Connor Croft live. He is inside of the storm near Mason City, Nebraska. And another severe thunderstorm warning was just issued, bottom right of your screen. That includes the Thetford area. We'll just go widescreen again. That is for Thetford, Route 2 near Seneca, going north right along Route 83 with damaging winds again up to 70 miles per hour being possible. Thank you for pronouncing Kearney correctly. No problem. I've covered Nebraska several times, so I have at least gotten that city name down. Any tornado potential with these storms? There is. I will go to that. We'll go to that right now since Connor's driving through these storms. So this is the current outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. Once I pull it up. This is the tornado risk for today. Overall, there is a 5% tornado risk across areas like Kearney along Interstate 80. But the thing is, really, where this 5% tornado risk is where the tornado risk is almost done now, because all the storms, for the most part, are north and east of this area. I would say, though, overall, the greatest tornado risk, even after this area, would be across areas in here near Broken Bow, Grand Island, and Kearney, where there will be a chance for a couple of isolated tornadoes and maybe a land spout or 2. And then back down into Kansas, we do have a low tornado risk. In addition to that, back down into Oklahoma, there is a 2% tornado risk. But we do have a 5% tornado risk today. That got upgraded earlier this morning, or really I think around lunchtime today, and so that is what we're looking at for today. But overall, that 5% tornado risk is almost done at this point. The main concern really is going to be across parts of southern Nebraska, back near Kearney and just south of Interstate 80, maybe even near Broken Bow and perhaps Grand Island. I do think this will probably be the main area to watch for over the next few hours for a tornado risk, which is where Connor Croft is currently storm chasing anyway. So that'll be the main area to watch for. I wouldn't even rule out maybe an isolated storm in here, back over near Hutchinson, Wichita, or between that and Topeka, possibly for an isolated tornado or landspout as well. I definitely think that threat will maximize itself closer to 5:30 or so. So we'll have to watch for that as well. Thank you, Alpha, for the $2 super chat. Topeka, Lawrence area. I'm with grandparents today. Yeah, anywhere in the Topeka area, essentially the main concern is going to be the threat for damaging winds with any of these storms, but I am not ruling out the potential here for an isolated brief tornado or landspout. Again, I'm not expecting anything significant. I'm not really expecting strong tornadoes either. I just think the overall main concern is going to be damaging winds across this entire area. Again, upwards of 75 to 80 miles per hour will be possible. Also, thank you, Zero, for gifting 10 members to the channel. I really do appreciate that. And let's get some hearts in the chat for Zero. If you got a member as well, or if you got a membership as well, make sure to thank Zero in the chat. And again, I really do appreciate you, Zero, with the 10 gifted members. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity.
Pretty interesting right in front of us, but not interesting enough to stop. Yeah, look at all these little nubby things right on this leading edge. Couple different like little bubbles.
Oh, look at that right there in the middle bottom.
Love to see if there's anything under them. Love to see if there's any ground contact, or even if they're spinning. Right where we're headed, though.
What's the difference between a landspout and a tornado? The main difference is that a tornado comes from an actual storm with cumulonimbus clouds, and it's an actual thunderstorm. Landspouts don't usually come from thunderstorms. They come from just clouds and storms that are trying to grow and build in size.
Stuck in it.
Thank you, Jackster, for the $4.99. What's the chances for tornadoes? Here is the tornado outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. And again, we have that 5% tornado risk in central and southern Nebraska. Overall, that 5% tornado risk, though, is really only in this area now, since the majority of those storms are already done back over to the west. I would say, though, the greatest tornado risk from here on out will be in these areas here. So Broken Bow, Kearney, Grand Island, back into southern Nebraska. And then that tornado risk is also very low, but not zero, all the way back into areas like central eastern parts of Kansas, going from Topeka back into Wichita, and as well as back into Oklahoma. A couple of tornadoes may occur. Thank you, CC. And again, if you're just tuning in and you watch our channel a lot, we have some new things that we've added to the stream overlay. This is not complete yet. This is still a quote-unquote prototype, because it's not complete, and I don't have this for every single situation, like a tornado warning and such. But we'll have 2 live cams from here on out on the right side of the screen. And in addition to that, the warning counter, bottom right of your screen, it looks way cleaner, I think, than what it is right now, in my opinion. And then bottom of your screen, those are all of the active warnings that are currently ongoing. So that will give you an idea of where all the severe thunderstorm warnings are ongoing if we are not zoomed out. So lots of changes there. The timestamp at the top left will be back there eventually. I just have not had a chance to add it back. Did I order a new monitor? I was looking into it last night. We'll probably have a new one by either Monday or Tuesday. In addition to that, I'm trying to get a monitor stand as well. So I need to make sure any monitor that I get will be compatible with that. In Connor Croft right now, this is Storm Chaser Connor Croft near Mason City, Nebraska. As of right now, we do have a half a dozen severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from just north of Hutchinson, Kansas, back into central Nebraska. A friendly reminder, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and like the stream if you're finding it informative and helpful so far. Also, thank you, Tori and Jeff, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Appreciate that. Thank you. I think a touchscreen monitor will be good for you. That is actually something I will look into. I did not think of that, but I will look into that. I actually would not mind a touchscreen monitor. That would be pretty cool. With that being said, I don't know the functionality of it since I'm sitting at a desk. I'm not standing up. Can you please check Wayland, Kentucky? Kentucky won't have any severe weather today. There is a low risk tomorrow. That's Western Kentucky. Like Connor's saying, there's at least some circulation in the area. Some rotation. We have a lot of rotation really along that leading edge of the line. Connor's saying maybe a tornado warning here soon. We're going to investigate that a little bit. Yeah, we do have some rotation near the Ansley area. It's not going to look great on here, but this is what we're talking about. So there is some rotation right now near Ansley. It's right here. It's not overly impressive, though, as of now. Granted, we are a bit further away from radar sites, so it's not going to look great. But that area in particular, I would not rule out an isolated tornado here. Embedded with a lot of lightning as well with that storm. That's again near Ansley, Mason City, near Broken Bow, excuse me, in Nebraska. So I'll be watching that closely. Tyler, Texas is not going to have any severe weather tomorrow. The next day of severe weather will be Monday, and the main concern is large hail. That'll be late in the evening Monday, though.
Stay focused. I don't know, Dad. It is what it is.
I'll have a video on that tomorrow. So just stay tuned to the channel. Again, make sure you're subscribed. I will have a full detailed forecast on the multi-day severe weather events on Sunday, so tomorrow sometime. Yeah, and all these storms right now are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Connor is driving through one of those right now that is producing damaging winds as high as 70 miles per hour.
Guys, nothing I can do about it. I'm doing the best that I can.
Thank you, Eric. All right, we'll continue to keep a close eye on Connor. Let's go back to live radar. Again, we do currently have 6 severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently ongoing from central Nebraska back into Kansas. The furthest northern storms at this point are about to really be leaving they're really about to leave the severe thunder, or they already have left the severe thunderstorm watch, but they are going to be leaving the general severe weather outlook for today here pretty soon. But for the time being, there will still be a chance for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. I am not ruling out an isolated brief tornado or a land spout in this activity, but overall, a lot of these storms are primarily damaging wind producers with tons of lightning right now near Interstate 83, near the Thetford area, near Brewster, Mullen, and the Seneca area. Again, damaging winds is the main concern with all of these storms up to 70 miles per hour. We just had a confirmed wind gust of 60 miles per hour, which is near Connor, in Broken Bow, Nebraska. So on that particular storm and this cluster of storms, we are beginning to see those damaging winds ramping up. New report, actually closer where Connor is, a 75 mile per hour wind gust was just reported, and that is by a train spotter, and that is in Custer County in Mason City, Nebraska. So again, where Connor is, damaging winds have been pretty high, obviously upwards of 65 to 75 miles per hour, and that report was about 10 minutes ago. So this is very recent, with damaging winds right now up to 70 to 75 miles per hour. The warnings right now are still warned for up to 75 miles per hour. Also near Hastings, we do have a little storm here that looks like it's trying to organize a bit, but a lot of the storms right now that are in the vicinity of Kearney and Hastings are producing damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, lots of lightning, and there's also a chance there for some large hail as those continue to evolve and move more north. And then further down to the south in Kansas, we have plenty of little, I would call them more baby storms that are firing up here across the Concordia area, right along Route 81 near Salina. Main concern with these right now is damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, in addition to the threats for some quarter-sized hail. The McPherson storm in south central Kansas is producing mainly damaging winds, not really any hail. Connor's saying there's a circulation right here.
Whoa! Oh my gosh! Trying to look. Just had a big wind shift. Blowing debris.
Camera should refocus here in a second.
Yeah, we just went through a circulation there. Huge wind shift.
Do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for Grand Island, St. Paul, Hastings, Route 136. That's for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and we are back on a tornado possible label, meaning that there is some rotation. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that here over the next several minutes. I guess Connor just went through some sort of circulation there. Well, I just missed a lot of notifications. Thank you, Pi Thenith. I don't know how to say your name still. Thank you for becoming being a 12-month VIP Velocity member. I really do appreciate that. And that's been a year, which is crazy. I really do appreciate that for the 1-year anniversary of being a VIP Velocity member. Get some hearts in the chat there for Pi Thenith. I'm trying. But I do appreciate being a 12-month VIP Velocity member. That's awesome. Thank you, Joe, for the $5 super chat. Sumner County, Kansas, and South Central Kansas, your thoughts. We'll go back to Connor here in a minute once he refocuses in. Just south of Wichita, that's actually really far southern Kansas. Main concern there is going to be damaging winds, maybe some isolated large hail. And storms are beginning to fire up there, but the main concern will be damaging winds if any storms do become severe. That's the main concern. Again, maybe an isolated tornado risk, but I don't think you'll have too much of that there. I think if there is any risk for an isolated tornado, it'll likely be to your north and east. Maybe also some isolated large hail. And that's really between now and 6. So it's really over the next hour, hour and a half. By the way, new severe thunderstorm warning here near Hastings and Grand Island and St. Paul. This is for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. In addition to the potential for an isolated tornado, the National Weather Service has added in that tornado possible label, meaning that there is some rotation on this storm. And in particular, that rotation is trying to ramp up near the DeWeese area near Nelson and Fairfield. So that's going to be these storms that are primarily developing right in here, where we're going to be watching for an increasing tornado risk back over in southern Nebraska. Flying trampolines are possible today. Make sure to hatch down the trampolines. We do have a medium risk for flying trampolines right now. If I knew that we're going to have so many storms here that are all producing 70 mile per hour damaging winds, I would have probably put that at an extreme risk for flying trampolines, because almost all of these storms right now are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, literally from just south of Valentine, Nebraska, back into Hutchinson. And this area, by the way, is approximately 300 miles long. It's a huge area around this low pressure system. With that being said, not every single one of these storms is producing those high of damaging winds, but a lot of them are. I mean, this is a pretty numerous threat right now. All these blue boxes that you're seeing, those are all damaging wind gust reports that we've had coming in. So it's been pretty significant thus far here across Nebraska especially, but it's going to really ramp up in Kansas here pretty soon. Also, thank you, Pi, for the $19.99 super chat. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, and thank you for your generosity. And also thank you to Fault for the $15 super chat. That's very generous, and I do appreciate it. A truck driver is heading to Michigan to deliver on Monday and wants to know the chance of running into a storm. Where is the starting point? I don't know where you're starting at. It's a very broad question. You could be traveling from California to Michigan, or you could be going from Canada to Michigan, Bermuda to Michigan, maybe driving a truck right over the ocean. Like, I don't know. It's a very broad question.
This is insane.
Oh, look at that. Look at all that rain. I mean, you can see the wind, like, blowing the rain, too, on his windshield. And Connor Croft right now storm chasing here in Ansley, Nebraska. This is where there has been a little bit of rotation in the last few minutes. They didn't say. Well, I don't know how I can help you. All I know, though, is that Michigan is not really going to be seeing storms. So that's like really the only way that I can help you. Unless I have like an area where, like, at least a state that they're starting in. And again, I do appreciate your $15 super chat. By the way, I am drinking Circle again. I used to drink this when we first started doing live streams back in mid-2022. I am once again trying to go off of the Diet Coke diet that I've been on, going for a more healthier alternative. So we are once again doing that. By the way, I am retweeting photos and videos on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX.
Just insane wind.
So if you want to check those out, again, that is at MaxVelocityWX on Twitter. The links are also in the description below.
50 to 60, 70 mile per hour gusts all along that.
Yeah, Connor is saying there's a lot of winds in these storms, and we've had an estimate of 75 mile per hour wind gusts here on these storms. And again, bottom right of your screen is those storms that he's driving through. Again, let me go back full screen here. But once again, we do have a lot of storms in here that are all producing lots of frequent lightning, damaging winds. We had a damaging wind gust of 75 miles per hour in Mason City about 20 minutes ago or so. So these are very high wind speeds right now in the vicinity of where he is. And there's also been some rotation. We have not had any confirmed tornado thus far. With that being said, we've had some rotation with this. Where he is right now near Ashton, or just kind of in the vicinity there of where he is, near Ansley, Mason City, that area, there has been a little bit of rotation, but we've yet to see anything confirmed here. But definitely some very high winds in here. Again, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour across this very large area here in Nebraska and Kansas. That is definitely concerning here for the next several hours, as this will continue over the next few hours, producing the risk for some significant damaging winds and perhaps even a couple of tornadoes cannot be ruled out. So it's going to definitely be a very active next several hours here. And again, that would include areas like Kansas, like Nebraska, and as well as back over into Oklahoma. Let's go back to Connor again. Lots and lots of lightning, by the way, heading toward his area, near the Loop City area, near Rockville. There's a boatload of lightning with these storms. I am still looking to see if we have any rotation. I'm not seeing any definitively right now with these storms. So yeah, again, we have some like broad rotation back up near like the Concordia area, but it's not much right now. A lot of these storms right now are mainly damaging wind producers with some large hail. I'm a little bit more concerned right now about that short-term tornado risk in southern Nebraska between Grand Island and Superior. These storms I do have a bit more attention on right now. They are a little bit more organized, and they are beginning to organize really, and lots of lightning. There is a little bit of rotation with a few of these. So we'll have to watch that closely over the next several minutes. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour does remain the main concern, but we may get an isolated tornado. So we'll continue to watch that very closely. Thank you, Tori and Jeff, for the $5 super chat. Is there any chance for Southern Illinois to get hit again tomorrow? I'm still cleaning up from that tornado that came through here on Tuesday. I'm sorry that you got hit by a tornado. Let me check for you. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Southern Illinois does have a chance of storms. I will let you know what the timing is on that. I think the tornado risk, though, is going to be very low. Possibly some isolated damaging winds, though. I wouldn't be surprised with a small tornado risk upgrade tomorrow, maybe a 5% tornado risk, maybe right along the Mississippi River there. Your timing is anywhere from about 12 until 4. Give or take a couple hours on that. They might last a couple hours extra than that. The storms are going to be a little bit slow moving tomorrow, similar to what we're seeing today. But I'd say the main concern will be gusty winds. Maybe an isolated tornado, though, cannot be ruled out. But hopefully, I think it'll stay overall, again, a very low chance there in Southern Illinois. And also, thank you, Corruption, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you. We're getting awfully close to 300 members on the Max Velocity channel, so I do appreciate all of your support and all those that are members. It does help the page out a lot. Lots of upgrades, again, coming to the stream here pretty soon.
All I saw was tap manual, which is really just auto.
As of right now, we do have 5 severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from central Nebraska back into northern Kansas. All the storms right now that are located back down in southern Kansas are special weather statements, meaning that they are strong storms but not severe at this time. That does include areas near Hutchinson and Wichita, with some small hail and gusty winds being possible. Storms are quickly approaching the Norman, Oklahoma area. Let's go wide cam view here in Norman, Oklahoma, which you can currently see still some gusty winds in the area. And we got some storm clouds right here on the right side of your screen. That right there would be storm clouds. So these storms are approaching the Norman, Oklahoma area. Main concern right now is gusty winds and small hail. But we will definitely watch and see if there's some sort of tornado risk or, you know, damaging wind risk that really starts to develop here over the next hour as these storms move east, going closer to Interstate 35 in Oklahoma. Here's Burlington, Kansas, another area that we'll be watching for later today, probably in a few hours. This area is going to be having to watch for the potential for damaging winds as well, as we get closer to like 7 o'clock tonight. Lots of wind gusts, by the way, coming in. Lots of wind gust reports, are coming in right now. All these blue boxes here are all damaging wind gusts that have been reported. We have about at least a dozen across Nebraska right now. So tons of damaging wind gusts are coming out of these storms. It's a pretty numerous threat right now of damaging winds across Nebraska. It looks like we are getting some rotation back down near the Edgar area, near Fairfield, just east of Blue Hill. We are getting a little bit of rotation. I wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado risk here, trying to develop just south of Harvard. Just southeast of Hastings as well. Definitely an isolated tornado risk could exist here, just to the west of Edgar, south of Fairfield. A little bit of rotation there. These storms overall, for the most part, are producing damaging winds up to 70, but I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado. I'll go back to Connor here in a second. I think he's fixing his camera settings. Thank you, Corruption, for the $5 super chat. What's the timing for the Tishomingo, Oklahoma, for severe weather tonight, and what's the main concern? Tishomingo. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but we'll go with it. So that is over in southern Oklahoma. I'm not really concerned about severe weather here. If you do get severe weather, though, it would be isolated damaging winds. It's a very low risk tonight. With that being said, we actually have an outflow boundary here, and we are definitely getting some storms here. I wouldn't actually rule out a couple of storms here in North Texas tonight. They might not be severe, but you might get a little bit of severe, or you might at least get a few, strong storms there with lightning and perhaps some gusty winds or small hail. But definitely an interesting little complex of storms that's developing right now in the Oklahoma City metro and just southwest of Oklahoma City. We're going to continue to keep a very close eye on this. We'll have the live cam from Norman, Oklahoma at the bottom right of your screen as well. Let me just pop this out real quick. There we go. So keep that at the bottom right of your screen there out of Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you, Troy, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate your generosity. What is the severe weather risk in Dayton, Ohio next week? I have no days of severe weather for Ohio at all. Anywhere in the Ohio Valley. I have no days of severe weather in the forecast. With that being said, let's hope it stays that way. But I don't think we'll have any severe weather there, at least as of right now for next week. Or this week, whichever way you want to consider it. All right, we're getting multiple different kinks of rotation right now in southern Nebraska. Not much here, but we have a little bit more down here. Just south of the Deschler area. That's near Route 136. I'm seeing at least a little bit of rotation there. We'll have to watch that closely. Again, several different areas of rotation that are developing. And then also back down in Kansas, we have some rotation as well in here. It's fairly broad, though, at this time. The storm is currently warned for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. But definitely not ruling out at least an isolated threat there for a brief tornado over the next couple of hours. The storms near Grand Island, though, in particular, I think are a little bit more concerning. Just south of Grand Island. A little bit more rotation in these ones. We'll definitely watch them very closely. That is the left side of the screen. Did I say right side of the screen? My bad. If I said that. I sometimes say, I sometimes don't notice it, but sometimes I'll say like Oklahoma when I mean like Nebraska or something. Good times. All right, well, go back to Connor Croft. Again, he's right now live storm chasing in Arcadia, Nebraska, where there has been at least a little bit of rotation there, but a lot more lightning than anything with those storms. The tornado risk is probably going to increase a little bit here over the next 30 minutes in southern parts of Nebraska. Look at all that, like, just rain that's falling, and it looks like at least some dust kicking up there on the middle left of your screen.
Has problems. I think it's focused on the right thing. Make sure. Camera mic, focus.
Connor's again trying to fix the settings there on his camera. Using a high quality camera. Our new radar scan just came in. Let's investigate. Velocity should update in a moment. Thank you, Jackster, for the $4.99. What does rotation cause? It causes tornadoes. I'm guessing that's what you were asking. Yeah, we do have some like broad little areas of rotation right now that are located near Edgar and just south of Clay Center near the Deschler area. Still watching for an isolated tornado risk here across south or southern parts of Nebraska. Connor Croft has been saying that there's been some rotation in this area for a little while now near the Loop City area. If we go back up there, we don't have a great view here, but this right here is your rotation. So that right there would be where we're watching for an isolated tornado risk. And so Connor is heading in that direction again. He is in Arcadia. He is, I believe, heading southeast. That's an arrow, by the way. Let's go back to Connor.
Shoot north here. Stay out ahead of this thing for just a little bit longer. Just so I can get an angle on it.
Storms are forming almost directly over Wichita Falls. Are they? If you have any photos, feel free to send them in to me at MaxVelocityWX on Twitter or on our Facebook page, North Texas Weather Center. Feel free to send them in.
Well, let's test if they're fixed.
I would definitely like to see some photos of that. Storm development is one of the cooler things, especially even in Texas. Real quickly, live cam in Norman, Oklahoma. I don't know if I can full screen it like that. Let me full screen it down here. Here is a full screen view of a storm that's rolling into Norman, right side of your screen. Very dark skies. We are getting some storms in the Norman, Oklahoma area. Mostly strong storms, but gusty winds and small hail are going to be possible as these continue to move more to the northeast into the Oklahoma City metro area. So definitely something we'll be watching for over the next several minutes. By the way, thank you, Nicholas, for the $5 Venmo. I do want to mention, by the way, thank you as well for the $10 Venmo from the other day. I missed that somehow on live stream, so I do want to thank you for that as well. I do appreciate your $10 Venmo from the other day and also the $5 Venmo now. Thank you for the live stream. I just got my Max Velocity shirt in the mail yesterday. Thank you. No problem. Hope you enjoy it. They are very comfortable t-shirts. I'm not seeing any rotation with these right now, by the way, in Oklahoma. Again, we're going to keep a close eye on them. Main concern will be damaging winds there in Oklahoma over the next few hours once those do strengthen. Have still a lot of different areas of rotation right now in southern Nebraska that we are watching closely from Deschler back into Clay Center. Main concern is going to be damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, but I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado risk. Connor's heading toward a storm that is rotating near Rockville and Loop City near Arcadia, Nebraska. And this is another storm that has a tornado possible label. So we are watching for some rotation in this area. And he's been mentioning a few times that there's been some rotation. I petition you to make a Max Velocity Hawaiian shirt. We have flying trampoline shirts at least.
The fact that we have this much connection is crazy.
I was actually just about to say that. I'm surprised Connor's had this much connection in Nebraska. At least where he is. Nebraska, for the most part, is very rural, unless you're right along Interstate 80. Horrible wind as well in Norman County. Thank you for the report, Jordan. Yeah, those storms are definitely ramping up.
Dang, there's nowhere to pull
I mean, they
off
started
right
developing about 45 minutes ago or so.
There's nowhere to pull off in here. Maybe right here? Is this somewhere to pull off? Man, this
Yeah,
might be
definitely
the
a lot of
best
gusty
place.
winds here in Nebraska. I'm not seeing any storms that are producing damaging winds, though. Maybe the storm near the Chickasha area, right along Interstate 44 in Oklahoma. That one has a bit more wind.
Oh, perfect.
All right, Connor is pulling off here. Ooh, look at that. Cloud of ground lightning again right there in the middle. These storms right now in Nebraska have a ton of lightning.
Look at our position.
Highly electrified storms in Nebraska today. Granted, the dew points are in the mid to upper 40s. They are awfully low today.
Our position in the path.
And here's what it looks like right now on live radar. Just south of Clay Center, so south of Grand Island, we have still, again, a few different areas of circulation that we'll be watching for. None of these have imminent tornado concerns, but I'm still not ruling out an isolated, like, brief tornado or maybe a landspout here in between radar scans. But again, this is mostly right now happening in southern Nebraska. With that being said, we have had some rotation back up near Loop City, which is near where Connor is right now on that storm that is producing some rotation. So we will continue to keep a very close eye on that over the next several minutes. Large hail may become more of a concern as well with this storm that has some pink and black color showing up there. That represents heavy rainfall and even some hail falling just east of Hastings and south of Grand Island in, again, parts of southern Nebraska. And we have multiple other areas of at least broad rotation right now, back over near Belleville and the Concordia area as well, near Highway 81. Again, back over in northern Kansas. But a lot of these storms are mainly producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. That's the main concern with all of these storms, but we are still watching for an elevated tornado risk over the next really hour and a half as these storms do continue across parts of southern Nebraska. If you have any photos or videos, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. This photo is from Derek on Twitter. This is a storm that is developing in Wichita, or Wichita Falls, excuse me, in North Texas. Very impressive cloud structure there. Derek, do you mind if I post that on Facebook, by the way? To our North Texas Weather Center page. Just let me know in the chat. Should have another new radar scan in a moment. And again, if you're just tuning in for the first time today, we have a new stream overlay that is not complete, but I am using it a little bit here in this live stream. Warning counters at the bottom right of your screen. It looks way cleaner in my opinion. We'll have multiple live cams on the right side of the screen. That's not complete yet. It's not filled in. It's not what it should look like, but it's getting there. And also bottom of your screen, that is where we have the latest warnings that are ongoing with all the locations at the bottom of your screen. That'll be there, giving you an idea of where all the severe thunderstorm warnings are, tornado warnings, whatever it might be. That'll all be listed there at the bottom of your screen and is always updating. So that'll be able to give you updates frequently on the live stream. So again, some big changes here. The overall layout, again, not complete. There's still more changes coming, but it's a prototype as of right now. I'm gonna put Connor back down there at the bottom right, a little bit wider here. And Connor's been talking about some rotation on this storm. Again, he is in Arcadia, Nebraska, near Loop City, which there has been some rotation in that area.
Just have good enough service, man. All right, we're gonna move here in a second. scud right there. That's all.
All right, let's go back to live radar. The severe thunderstorm watch has been canceled for many areas in south and southwestern parts of Nebraska. And it's still ongoing, though, until 8 o'clock tonight for Lincoln, the Beatrice area near Columbus and York, Nebraska. And we also have a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock tonight across central eastern parts of Kansas, mainly for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, with a couple of tornadoes being possible. As I've mentioned a few times, down near Norman, Oklahoma, we do have storms that are firing up here. Notice that the storm clouds are right there in the middle and middle right of your screen. Storms are approaching Norman, Oklahoma. They are not currently severe, but they are producing gusty winds and small hail. And notice all those storms right now, again, just to the west of the Oklahoma City metro area, elongated area of storms that's developing. These, again, could all produce the potential here for at least some gusty winds and small hail if they don't become severe. But if they do become severe, there will be a more elevated chance there for damaging winds and perhaps maybe an isolated tornado risk as they continue to move throughout parts of Oklahoma. With all that being said, we still have some rotating cells that are back over in Nebraska. Still some broad rotation back down in southern parts of Nebraska, so just southeast of Hastings. Not seeing, again, anything too definitive right now in terms of any strong rotation, but we at least have some broad rotation across this area. Main concern, though, is still going to remain damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour with these storms. Also, thank you, Shane Derry, for gifting 5 members to the channel. I do appreciate that. And if you got a gifted membership from Shane, make sure to thank him in the chat. And also, thank you, Karen, for the 5 gifted members. I appreciate that as well. Thank you. That is now 20 gifted memberships in the stream. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Again, if you get any gifted memberships, make sure to thank either Shane or Karen. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity. What program do I use? This is Radar Omega. You can download it with the link at the very bottom of the description. And calling right now is in Arcadia, Nebraska, near a storm that is producing frequent lightning, gusty or damaging winds, I should say. In addition to that, there has been some rotation with this storm, but nothing confirmed and on the ground at this point. The rotation's been broadening out a bit on the last few scans anyway. It's been a bit weaker. But definitely a lot of lightning, and that storm, again, is at the very bottom of your screen, bottom right. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate that. So apparently you can gift memberships now if you're not a member of the channel. I did not know that. It used to be that you only could gift memberships if you are a member of the channel, so that must just be new. I don't know when they changed that. I know when it first came out, it was only for people that were members. Hoping to catch an Arkansas update. I will have a detailed forecast tomorrow at some point on the severe weather for the next, like, 5 days, because we're gonna have several days coming up of severe weather. We're gonna have we might have 6 straight days of severe weather coverage, and I'm not kidding. Like, literally. We have a severe weather chance today, which is ongoing. We have another chance of severe weather tomorrow in the Mississippi Valley. Marginal threat, we may or may not go live, I don't know yet. Monday, a slight risk with a solar eclipse, which is gonna be interesting. Tuesday, another slight risk of severe weather. Wednesday, a slight risk in the lower Mississippi Valley. Thursday, another slight risk in the southeast. So a ton of different severe weather days are coming. This is going to be very active. Let's just say that. Also, thank you, First Channel, for becoming a minimum Velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities.
First time back in the Spalding area.
No problem, JP.
Out of the rain briefly. As we get towards Ord.
Yeah, I think we'll be going live for the solar eclipse on Monday. We'll be utilizing the Radar Omega live cams and perhaps a few other things, but they have a live cam back near Austin, Texas. They have another one back up near Little Rock. They have multiple in the area of southeast Missouri. They also have one in Ohio. and also one back up in the New York City, or not New York City area, Buffalo, New York area. So I do think we'll be going live for a solar eclipse live stream on Monday. New severe thunderstorm warning was just issued. This is a tornado possible storm. There's a lot of lightning with these storms, as I've mentioned before. Again, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. This one's going to be for St. Paul, the Ord area near Route 281. This is mainly for the threat of damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, but they have reissued a tornado possible label on that storm, and they just issued another huge severe thunderstorm warning. This one is for York, back over near Central City. Fullerton near Grand Island. Main concern with this will be damaging winds again up to 70 miles per hour, but there is a tornado possible label, meaning that we do have some rotation. And that's from Fullerton and Central City back through York and Hebron in southern Nebraska. Again, a huge area once again for a damaging wind risk up to 70 miles per hour. Still some broad rotation right now near Hebron. And again, these storms right now moving to the north and north-northwest. So again, the main concern, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. But we are still watching for an isolated tornado risk. Lots of lightning, as I mentioned before. Connor Croft still storm chasing over near Arcadia, Nebraska, where there is a ton of lightning right now. We'll continue to go with him here and there. We have rotation near Harvard. Let's actually go to that. We have rotation developing near Harvard, Nebraska. I believe it's the Harvard storm. Yeah, we got a little bit of rotation. Again, it would be right up in here. We're looking at normal velocity radar, but if you look at the storm relative velocity, there is definitely a little bit of rotation near the El Dorado area near Harvard, but definitely more of a hail concern. It's a very low tornado risk. It was a very brief area of rotation. It only lasted 2 scans. It's weakened though over the last few minutes. And further back down to the south, we do have a little bit of rotation near Hebron, just northwest of that. It's going to be associated with this area here near Davenport. That is moving north-northwest. So Shickley, ONG, and Davenport, you should be staying away from windows, as there is definitely a little bit of rotation there. And also down near Cuba in northern Kansas, there's damaging winds here, but there's also a little bit of rotation. So that's near Bellevue and Cuba near Route 36. So multiple different areas of rotation. And then back down in the Oklahoma City metro area, we do have storms that are quickly approaching. Again, none of these currently severe, but we do have a lot of storms here that are producing some lightning, in addition to some gusty winds. We have very, very, very limited wind shear down here. With that being said, we do actually have a couple of little hook echoes that have developed. We got one little hook echo back over near the Yukon area, just northwest of Oklahoma City. With that being said, it is not really rotating. It looks scary on radar, but it's definitely not very impressive when it comes to rotation. And here's a live cam in Norman, Oklahoma. Again, skies are getting pretty dark here in the Norman, Oklahoma area. Not looking at really a whole lot of, again, rotation or anything like that with these storms, but there is definitely going to be some lightning and gusty winds. Some birds flying in the sky as well. Might even see a flying trampoline go past your house. You never know. But, again, very ominous skies there. Coming into areas near Norman, Oklahoma. The majority of these storms right now are producing lightning, small hail, and gusty winds. All right, let's go back to Connor again. He is currently storm chasing in Nebraska. And a friendly reminder, if you are just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I do want to remind you guys, by the way, if the stream does lag at all, it is because my streaming settings got reset. So I do have to fix that after this live stream. My encoding is overloading, which is really, really, really exciting. That'll be a small issue here, unfortunately, for the stream today, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't think it's been that bad. Storm that Connor is on has been kind of fizzling for the last few minutes.
0.6 miles.
Not nearly as impressive as before.
Take a right. We're gonna follow the North Loop River right towards our storm. Should be some big wind on the leading edge of this. Still warned for 70-mile-per-hour winds, along with the tornado possible tag on it now. We do have the elusive tornado possible tag.
Okay. Go back to here for the time being. As of right now, no storms are in the forecast for Ohio at this time. Ohio is probably going to be pretty quiet for the next few days. Maybe an isolated storm on Monday, but I wouldn't expect any severe weather. We have some pretty broad rotation right now just to the south of Shickley. That is near Brunning, Nebraska. Again, multiple different other areas of rotation further down to the south in northern Kansas. And most of these storms, once again, are producing damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. We still do have about 6 different severe thunderstorm warnings, or actually 5, that are going anywhere from central Nebraska back into north Kansas. Main concern, again, will be damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. And that is a storm right in front of Connor, again, in Arcadia, Nebraska.
Should be the most intense.
What's this guy's name? Who? Connor? It says the top right of the screen. Which storm has the tornado possible tag? This massive storm, the one that's near York and Grand Island, this huge warning. This other warning that's back up near St. Paul, which the rotation's much weaker on that area. Not nearly as concerned about a tornado risk there, but I still wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado. More rotation, though, down near Hebron. And also, there has been some rotation in northern Kansas. No tornado possible label on that, but there is definitely at least a little bit of rotation there. None of these areas, though, right now are strong rotation. They are all still relatively behaving themselves. I haven't seen anything really tighten yet, other than when we first went live. There's a little bit more rotation then.
Yesterday, but the moment we start chasing and I start jogging, I get the tickle. The tickle comes back.
Your name? Max Velocity. I think the max part gives it away. No problem, Shrum. Appreciate you tuning in. No problem, Shady. Hope everything's going well there in Maryland. Hopefully you didn't see anything too bad there in Maryland the other day. Storms did get a little bit rough there. At least on the southern side of the state. I sent you a photo of the storm on Norman on Twitter.
Looks like our storm weakened a little bit, actually, so kind of disappointing, but...
I don't see anything. Did you mention me in it? Make sure to @MaxVelocityWX on Twitter. You send me anything. I don't see anything on Twitter.
Let's see, we can follow this road.
Max just sounds better than Jeffrey Velocity. That's true.
Like the next strongest storms are working their way up towards...
Yeah, Karen, there was a big tornado. I think it was an EF3 tornado in it was like just north of Fort Worth, I think, back in 2019. And that was a devastating tornado. That was a really big tornado. And unfortunately, that caused a lot of damage. I can't remember. I can't remember if it was $1 billion event or it was just multi-million dollars. I thought it was $1 billion tornado, like $1 billion in damage. But yeah, that was a really devastating tornado back in 2019. If I remember correctly, I think that was November. But I could be wrong. Am I local to DFW but broadcast nationwide for all storms? Fun fact, I am not local to DFW. I used to be. And so I've told this story a ton. I don't think I've recently, but we are still North Texas Weather Center on Facebook, but I end up moving because of college.
Look at that.
And so I'm not technically local to DFW anymore, but we still do weather there. Our YouTube channel is Nationwide Weather. That changed back in like mid 2022, but Facebook is always going to stay as North Texas Weather Center because I do enjoy forecasting North Texas weather. I would rather do that than have two different nationwide pages. I like doing a local page and a nationwide page. I think that's just way more enjoyable for me to be able to forecast. You know, it's because this has always been my passion. I know a lot of people think, you know, or I don't know if a lot of people think, but some people just think, you know, I just kind of like grew into this space nationwide, but like, you know, this is literally just my passion. I still do these live streams purely off of passion. It's never been about money or anything. So I just love doing severe weather live streams, love posting, you know, weather forecasts in general, and I think it comes across a lot in that way on YouTube videos too. I mean, again, I just love making videos. I'm very passionate about meteorology, and that is why I'm currently a year away from my bachelor's in meteorology. Fun times. Only one more year. Thank you, Fault, for the $5 super chat. My little brother is 13 years old, is wondering why a dust devil the size of a tornado is just as dangerous as a traditional tornado. Dust devils are usually not that dangerous. Depends on the circumstances, but usually tornadoes are worse. Now, dust devils produce, obviously, a lot more dust. They have a lot more dust associated with them, and dust devils, though I would say really the one biggest downside to dust devils in a lot of cases is that, unfortunately, if you're caught in one and you're just outside, you are going to have some very irritated eyes for possibly days. I think that's really the biggest downside of them, but, I mean, they usually don't cause that much damage. New severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for a large chunk of Kansas. This does include areas from Abilene back into the Route 81 area just north of Cuba. The main concern here is going to be damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and as well as quarter-sized hail. Do have a little bit of rotation northeast of Bellevue. Now, we are still watching really closely. This storm in particular, I would not be surprised if we got maybe a tornado warning on this. There has been rotation for a little while now. Main concern still, though, is a lot of lightning, damaging winds, and also maybe some large hail up to quarter-sized hail as possible. Back down in the Oklahoma City area, near Norman, we do have some storms that are strengthening here. Main concern is still going to be the potential for gusty winds and small hail. With that being said, lightning is also a possibility. Here's a live cam in Norman, Oklahoma. The skies have gotten very dark here over the last several minutes, and that is all due to the fact that storms are rumbling in here. Across central parts of Oklahoma. Lots of storm activity, though. Again, a lot of these storms are mainly just strong. No severe storms in Oklahoma yet. I do think that'll change, though, in 30 minutes or so. Still some broad rotation near Shickley, also down near Hebron. We still got some broad rotation. Nothing super definitive, though, in terms of an imminent tornado risk at this time. We will be watching that tornado risk again over the next several minutes. Definitely still a possibility that we get an isolated tornado. Let's go back to Connor Croft again. He is storm chasing in Ord, Nebraska. That is northwest of Grand Island. That is in the vicinity of Loop City.
Got more storms that get coming up the line.
Tulsa, the main concern in Tulsa will be closer to sunset. Damaging winds is the main concern. Maybe an isolated brief tornado.
Wow.
Windy in central Texas right now. I do want to mention, by the way, there is a fire outlook today. And so if you do know anybody, or if you are in these areas, back over in, let me go to here. We do have an increased elevated fire outlook, and this is a high risk for basically fires and wildfires across parts of the Oklahoma Panhandle, southwest Kansas, and near the Texas Panhandle, and also critical fire danger in other areas across West Texas. Please make sure that you are not trying to ignite fires today. It is a very dry and windy day. We do not need another large wildfire in North Texas, or like the Texas Panhandle. We had one a month and a half back or so, and that was substantial, and it was the largest wildfire in Texas history. We do not need a repeat of that, so make sure that you are not lighting or igniting fires. Do not throw cigarette butts out the window. Do not do that stuff. It is a very dangerous day when it comes to wildfire potential across Texas, Oklahoma, Panhandle, and southwest Kansas, where it is extremely windy and extremely dry. And it is very dry even with these thunderstorms, by the way. I mean, these thunderstorms, they are not living off of much today. The dew points are really low. If the dew points were in the upper 50s, low 60s across these states, we would have a tornado outbreak almost undoubtedly today. The dew points, though, are sitting in the low 40s in some areas. The dew points are literally right now like 42 degrees back over near Grand Island, where there's severe weather with damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour happening right now. It's unbelievable. If any of these storms, though, do get enough moisture, we definitely could have an increased tornado risk. But for the most part, these dew points are not impressive. Further down to the south in Oklahoma, they are into the mid to upper 50s and low 60s, which is a bit better. But this is not the area in particular where there would be an elevated, or more significant, I should say, risk of severe weather in this particular environment. The low pressure system's back up in Kansas, and those storms, if there was more moisture, we would be probably talking about a small scale tornado outbreak at the bare minimum. And with that being said, we do at least have a little bit of rotation here near the Blanchard area, just southwest of Norman. I honestly would not rule out an isolated tornado with a storm like this. I just wouldn't rule it out. The dew points are definitely more favorable down here in Oklahoma comparatively to back up in Nebraska. Yes, there's a special weather statement here. We do have rotation developing again back up in Nebraska. Let's head back up to that. We'll keep a close eye on Oklahoma. There is rotation, I believe, near Hebron. Again, it's just some broad rotation overall. We got some little areas that we're watching. One near the Shickley area, and then we got one near Hebron. And I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado. Let's go to the live cam back down in Oklahoma in Norman. And right now near Norman, we got a few storms that are developing here. And this is another view right now. This is a live cam view out of Norman. Lots of cloud cover coming in, and this is again the storm that is rolling in with gusty winds, small hail, lightning, and I would not rule out an isolated tornado risk with this one as it moves more to the east-northeast. I would definitely be on alert if you're near like Shawnee on the south and east side there of Oklahoma City. I know the storm does look a bit scarier on radar because it has that little hook shape to it. With that being said, I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado with this as it tries to develop. Even though the shear is not overly favorable down here, it's not impossible to get some sort of isolated tornado risk with this as it moves more to the east-northeast. We're going to continue to keep a very close eye on that storm. We are getting a lot of wind damage reports, by the way, or damaging wind gust reports, I should say, across Nebraska. Again, any of these blue boxes that you're seeing here, those are all wind gust reports. We've had tons of them as of lately. Grand Island reporting around 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts not too long ago. Even back over near York, or just south of York, back over near Nelson, Superior, and Hebron, there have been some wind gusts here upwards of 60 miles per hour. I cannot urge you enough, if you're in any of these areas, to make sure that you are staying indoors as these storms do move through. There's a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning as well. Obviously, if you have any outdoor plans, make sure that you are taking the proper precautions there and staying very weather aware. Again, you do not want to be caught outside in these storms, as damaging winds are going to be quite significant here over the next few hours. Again, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour do remain a possibility. But Hebron, this is really the area that I'll be watching for a slightly higher tornado risk over the next 20 minutes. Will be near Hebron, the Fairbury area, just southeast of Grand Island. A little bit more rotation and more organization on those storms right now. Let's go back to Connor. We might be losing signal, but stay on here for a couple minutes. And a friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the stream as well, and we'll be keeping you posted with the latest with severe weather coverage. Connor right now is in Ord, Nebraska, near Scotia. He's heading towards some of those storms that are in the Grand Island area. By the way, if you do have any photos or videos, feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. And also, we are retweeting photos and videos on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX on Twitter. The link to that is also in the description below. Just sent over a photo from central Oklahoma. Well, where'd you send it? I've not gotten anything new. Make sure if you're sending it to the right place. I've had a couple people say that. If you're sending it on Twitter, make sure to just mention me in it. Do not message me. And also, if you're sending it on Facebook, I'll be notified automatically. So if you have photos, please make sure to send it the proper way. Make sure you're sending it to the right person as well. Thank you, Lonnie, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate that. Welcome to the Velocities, and I do appreciate your support. This is back to the Norman storm. Oh, wow, look at this. We'll go back to this. The thing I'm talking about is not super important. Now look at the right side of your screen. It looks like a shell cloud right there. Thank you, Smiley, for the $5 super chat. I need you to tell me if there will be a tornado that hits my house on September 3rd, 2027 at 3:47 p.m. Thank you. What state are we talking about? Maybe I can give you an idea. I'll give you at least an approximation. Maybe a % chance of you seeing a tornado that day. At that exact time. I have an idea. We're gonna start doing weather forecasts 3 years out for people. See how accurate they are.
Not rotating.
Yeah, the little nub that Connor's talking about is at the top right of your screen. That's not rotating whatsoever. Thank you, Lonnie, as well, for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate that. And again, I appreciate you becoming a member. Hiawatha, Kansas. If I'm pronouncing that name right, that's incredible. Your area in particular would be isolated damaging winds after 7 o'clock. So you still got at least a couple hours until you see anything. Whoa, look at all that lightning. You cloud of ground lightning strikes right there. In the middle of your screen. Really impressive view here. Again, Connor Croft storm chasing here near Ord, Nebraska. Chelsea, the location's bottom left. There's also a map at the bottom right that's small, but it shows his location as well on that. And at the very bottom right, that's the radar that I'm using.
Let's see here.
Here's Norman, by the way. Yeah, we're going to keep a close eye on Norman. Like a little bit of cloud to cloud lightning there a second ago. Main concern right now in the Norman area is gusty winds. I know the storm has a little hook on it, but we're not seeing any rotation at this time on this storm, or at least any substantial rotation. It's mostly a damaging or more of a gusty wind concern for the time being. Not ruling out an isolated tornado though in Oklahoma. How's it going, Joey? We haven't had any confirmed tornadoes at this point. I would not be surprised, though, if we at least had a land spout or two.
Where's my road?
do you think of the Norman, Oklahoma weather today? I mean, honestly, I think it's just gonna be ordinary storms there. I am not ruling out an isolated tornado risk, though, in Oklahoma. And I'm talking isolated. We're not talking about 16 tornadoes. We're talking maybe an isolated tornado somewhere in Oklahoma. Cannot rule it out. I think the main concern will be east of Interstate 35 if that threat does materialize. And that threat would really be anywhere between now and 7. That's the main threat for any severe weather from here on out will be between that time frame.
3.2 miles, we'll turn left to go over a bridge. It'll keep us out ahead of all of the more strong storms moving up from Grand Island area.
Time to refill my water. What's it looking like for eastern Kansas? The main concern in eastern Kansas is going to be damaging winds, and that will really happen after 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. But I do think the main concern is going to be up until the Missouri and Kansas border. Anywhere east of that border, it's pretty much done for sure. Again, a lot of these storms are only going to be going until like 7:30 or so tonight. Still got some rotation in here near Hebron, Nebraska. Again, nothing confirmed thus far. We do have a little bit of rotation there. Again, this storm activity right now is all moving to the north and north-northwest, with damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour being possible. Make sure, again, if you're in any of these warnings that stretch over 200 miles long, make sure that you are staying in your home or building. Do not be in a mobile home. Make sure that you are staying in a sturdy structure, because damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour will be possible. All right, let's go back to Connor real quick.
Right near that surface.
Just talking about something. Oh, nope, let's go to radar. We got a new warning. Severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Oklahoma City. We'll go to this screen. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Oklahoma City. This is going to include Oklahoma City, Moore, Oklahoma, the Edmond area, Newella, and Choctaw. This is mainly for the threat of damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. So again, brand new severe thunderstorm warning if you are in the Oklahoma City metro area. So again, if you are in this warning, make sure that you are staying away from windows, as damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour will be possible. That could blow over trees and potentially put them onto your home. Here's a wide spread. This is a camera view here in Norman, Oklahoma right now. Very ominous skies. Obviously, this is the storm that we're talking about that is producing also the chance for even some damaging wind potential here. Very ominous skies, though. Rain is going to be falling here at any time. It looks like it's trying to fall now. Again, in Norman, Oklahoma. Again, this is a live cam view here just south of Oklahoma City in Norman. We'll put that at the bottom right of your screen. And on Radar Omega. And then, again, in the Oklahoma City metro area, that is where we're currently watching for some damaging winds. And, ooh, we are getting a little bit of rotation here. Some rotation near Moore. I'll keep a close eye on this, guys. There's a little bit of rotation there, just near the Moore area. At the bare minimum, it's damaging winds, but we do have a little bit of rotation trying to develop there. It's not tight or anything, but it's a little small area that I'd be keeping a close eye on. All of this green right in here near Moore is all damaging winds, by the way. Yeah, that's definitely a little bit of something that we will have to watch for over the next few minutes. That's small little notch of rotation that could try to produce something. Mostly damaging winds near the Blanchard area. But yeah, we do have that little small notch near Moore that I'd be keeping a close eye on. StormNet is giving this storm, by the way, south of Oklahoma City near Norman, an increased tornado probabilities here over the next 30 minutes. So we will need to watch this area of storms very closely. I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado. There's a lot more moisture in this area than what we have back up in Nebraska. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a much more favorable environment when it comes to moisture and instability down here in Oklahoma. It just lacks the overall wind profiles, but with that being said, we definitely still have a chance for an isolated tornado. Again, live cam view at the bottom left of your screen in Norman, Oklahoma right now. Storms are rolling in. We have a little bit of rotation back over near Moore, Oklahoma. We have a little bit near Blanchard. Again, neither of these really too impressive right now, but they could develop into something as these storms do continue to move into the Oklahoma City metro area and as well as the Norman area here in Oklahoma. See if we have any reports on either of these storms right now. Like, if you have any photos or videos in this vicinity, feel free to send it in to us on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. A new velocity scan is going to be coming in here in a second. Really what I'm most interested in right now is going to be the velocities radar. It is going to show us, essentially, if there's any sort of crazy rotation that we're getting in this area of storms. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know why we don't have a top timestamp at the top left. I don't know what's going on there. Alright, here's the latest scan. Got a little bit here, even just south of Oklahoma City. Just a little bit. It's not much. It's still very weak rotation, if anything. More of a damaging wind core right about to go right through Moore, Oklahoma. So damaging winds right here, upwards of 65 miles per hour is going to be possible right down there in downtown Moore, Oklahoma. And then near Blanchard, we are watching at least for some very broad rotation right now. Yeah, notice the evolution of these storms. The main concern still remains damaging winds, but I'm still not ruling out an isolated tornado in this activity. We have a couple of small little notches that we'll have to watch for closely. And it looks like the Norman camera is loading. There we go. So here's, again, Norman live. Norman, Oklahoma. It's been raining very lightly over the last several minutes, but I'm not ruling out that we do get some very heavy rain in a few minutes, in addition to perhaps some strong downburst winds. Again, the trees have been swaying there for the last several minutes now. We'll keep that at the bottom left. Again, that's Norman, Oklahoma. You can see the outdoor temperature right now is at 76 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to drop substantially once this rain-cool air moves through. The dew point 62, by the way. That's a pretty favorable dew point here. So the moisture is, again, much better down over here in Oklahoma comparatively to Nebraska. All right, there's the timestamp. Sorry, that should have been there. Here's the latest radar scan. And not seeing anything too definitive anymore in terms of rotation. Still watching near Oklahoma City for a little bit of something trying to develop against very, very, very broad. Right in here near Moore, that is where we have a little bit more of a damaging wind threat moving right into Moore, Oklahoma. Bottom left of your screen, rain is picking up quickly in Norman, Oklahoma. Again, that is live. Temperature is sitting at about 76 degrees. Wind is going to be picking up here over the next few minutes there near Moore, or sorry, near Norman, Oklahoma. Again, if you are in this area, make sure that you are staying away from windows. Damaging winds, once again, up to 60 miles per hour is going to be possible across the Oklahoma City metro area. This is the entire area that is included in this. Again, it includes all of the Oklahoma City metro, anywhere from along and just east of Interstate 35, just north of Norman. If you are in Norman, I would also make sure that you're taking the proper precautions and just go into your safe place just in case. Here's a live cam view in Norman. Rain is beginning to pick up more. It should really start to pick up a lot more, though, over the next couple of minutes as this storm moves in. Yeah, severe weather anywhere in the Oklahoma City metro is awfully common. New radar scan just came in. We'll go to that. Actually, we'll go to this first for just a second. And you can see the wind picking up a little bit here. Winds are going to pick up a lot more once these strong downburst winds from this thunderstorm come in here to Norman. Once again, this is a live view on Radar Omega on the cyclone port here. Also, you got Connor Croft here, storm chasing in Nebraska. Again, he'll be on the right side of your screen throughout this entire warning because he's up in Nebraska. We're mainly looking at Oklahoma right now. And this is in the Oklahoma, central Oklahoma area, again, near Oklahoma City. Let's put the live cam back at the bottom right. We do have a new radar scan. We'll check that out. Yeah, we do have some very broad rotation back up near Oklahoma City, really over downtown. There might be a little bit of spinning there in the clouds, but no imminent tornado risk with that. Back over near Moore, that is where the damaging winds are currently going right through. So if you're in Moore, Oklahoma, again, make sure that you're getting away from windows now, as this storm is going to be producing the threat for damaging winds upwards of 60 to 65 miles per hour. And once again, the StormNet probabilities here for a tornado over the next hour are currently increasing on this storm here. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, it does have a hook, obviously. We do have an inflow. Really not a whole lot of rotation on radar, but I would not rule out an isolated tornado risk with this storm as it tries to develop further. There's at least some sort of low tornado risk with this one near Norman. Once again, not an imminent threat, but it is going to be something to watch for. As you can see, this would be where the rotation would be, and we don't really have anything there right now. It's going to be something to watch for, I think, more over the long term, which long term in this case would probably be over the next 45 minutes, as the storm does go closer to like Nuella, the McLeod area, and Shawnee. But yeah, that storm's organizing quite a bit. There's the latest radar scan. Still got a hook on this storm. Got a little bit of lightning now. Yeah, bottom left of your screen is where Norman, Oklahoma is. That is a live cam. Does Southeast Michigan have to worry about anything this week? Not really. Not as of right now. It's back to Connor in Nebraska. Not seeing much right now. A lot of heavy rain, though, on the right side of your screen. New radar scan should be coming in here momentarily. Let's go full screen to Norman again, where the wind is picking up. Temperature has not really dropped much in Norman yet. Still 75 degrees. Should see a lot of that rain cool air go right through central Oklahoma, and the temperature should drop substantially over the next several minutes. Is there a risk of a tornado in Nebraska? It is a low risk overall. Again, Connor is storm chasing in Nebraska. We've had some broad rotation for quite a while. On the right side of your screen, again, that's what we're looking at. Pretty heavy rain, obviously, moving through. Maybe a shelf cloud or some sorts there, but low tornado risk overall in Nebraska. It's not zero. I would definitely say, though, it's on like the low to very low spectrum of things. New radar scan still showing at least. Let's check out the Oklahoma City area. Looks like the storm activity right in downtown Oklahoma City is weakening. Still damaging winds, though. We have some strong downburst damaging winds going right into Moore, Oklahoma as we speak. Again, that is over Moore, Oklahoma. You can see how that wind field here is plowing right through Moore. Damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour will be possible, and we could even get some power outages in the area if these winds are as strong as advertised, which as of right now, they are at 60 miles per hour. Back over just southwest of Norman, we do still have a little bit of a storm here that we're watching. It's not really rotating much right now. It obviously has a hook shape to it. StormNet, again, is a tool that gives you an idea of at least the tornado probabilities in the short term. It is saying that this storm has a higher probability of producing a tornado comparatively to what we've seen today. But once again, still not ruling out that there could be some sort of potential here for an isolated tornado. With that being said, I am getting reports now of a wall cloud that is associated with this storm near Norman, Oklahoma. Photo is retweeted on Twitter. As of 12 minutes ago, there was a wall cloud in the Norman, Oklahoma area near Blanchard specifically, but just west of Norman. So again, there have been reports now of a wall cloud. With that being said, I'm still not ruling out an isolated tornado risk here. We're going to continue to keep a very close eye on this storm near Norman. The rotation does not look overly impressive on radar, but I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado. But the tornado potential definitely could increase here over the next few minutes. Here's the short span radar sight, and I'm not seeing a whole lot either here. And rotation on radar has not looked impressive, but with that being said, it has a very classic hook shape to this. Very classic looking hook echo, and we have now reports of a wall cloud on this storm near Norman. And this is in Norman, Oklahoma. If you're in Norman, Oklahoma, I would just make sure that you're just staying away from windows at the bare minimum here. And not tornado warned at this point, but we have had at least a report of a wall cloud on this storm. That is right now moving to the east-northeast, going into the Norman area. Just south of Oklahoma City. Damaging winds are picking up again near the Moore area here of really just south of Oklahoma City, going towards Midwest City and Choctaw. Or Choctaw, excuse me. I don't know why I said Tau. Choctaw, and as well as going towards the Hara area. We're really going to be watching this storm really closely. We have a live cam right in the path of this. If there might even be a wall cloud on this live cam, I wouldn't rule it out. We might be able to see something. It's going to be on the left side of the screen. This particular live cam on Radar Omega that's right in Norman, Oklahoma, might have the perfect view on this. And again, that live cam is right here. So depending on if this storm tracks a little bit further to the north, we might get a view on this possible wall cloud. But this right here, again, is a hook that we have on this storm. And if there is still a wall cloud in progress, this would be the area that we're looking for. I don't 100% know if there's still one happening. It was, again, about 10 minutes ago or so that there was a wall cloud. I'm going to see if we have any reports, though, as of the last 5 minutes on that storm. Yeah, we still have a wall cloud on this. We have a rotating wall cloud by Goldsby, Oklahoma. That's on this storm, so there's now reports of a rotating wall cloud on this particular storm. There may be a tornado warning with this at some point. We'll see. I'm going to continue to retweet photos on our Twitter page of the rotating wall cloud. So again, at Max Velocity WX on Twitter. And again, we do have a hook on this storm. It's a low-topped supercell that's developing. This is a live cam shot right now in the Norman area. So again, we are still monitoring the potential here for an isolated tornado. On radar, we don't have a whole lot of rotation. With that being said, we've had lots of reports as of the last 10 minutes, including in the last like 5 minutes, of there being a rotating wall cloud. Still seeing if we have anything new on this as well. We're going to stay on this storm. This one, honestly, is probably the most concerning storm that we have right now. Even though, I mean, even if we do have a tornado, it probably will not be, like, strong or something like that, but especially in this environment. But with that being said, we still definitely could have a tornado here try to develop. By the way, if you guys have any photos, feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. I will try to show those here on the stream. And again, we are retweeting lots of photos of this particular wall cloud on this storm near Norman, Oklahoma. Here's a live cam view in Norman. We are going to have, at least on this particular live cam on Radar Omega, we're going to be going through the main core of the rain over the next few minutes. And then we probably will have a better view there of the actual the possible wall cloud that we still have ongoing there. We should have in a few minutes. Real quickly, this is Connor's view, by the way, on that storm in Nebraska. Really cool clouds there. And Connor Croft storm chasing up in Nebraska. I don't know if there's really many storm chasers in the Norman area right now that are really out there chasing this storm. With that being said, this storm is still looking pretty impressive on radar. And we have a hook here. Still a interesting supercell that's moving towards Norman. Don't have any new photos in the last like 5 minutes of that wall cloud, but with that being said, we've had multiple photos in the last 10 minutes of there being a wall cloud with this storm. We've been looking at the rotation on radar several times now. There has not been much rotation really at all with this near the surface. So the tornado risk I would still say exists. I just think it's going to be something, if we do see a tornado, it would probably be on the brief side of things with this current environment. Back over in central Oklahoma, again, just south of Oklahoma City. Yes, there's a low risk of tornadoes in Tulsa. It's a low risk all across the board. It's really a very low risk for anybody at this point. The temperature has dropped now a couple of degrees here. The dew point again is at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So I think I'm still streaming, right? My OBS disconnected for a second there. Yeah, it looks like I'm good. But yeah, again, we have a lot of moisture comparatively to Nebraska. Dew points are in the mid 60s. With that being said, the instability is there. It's not super big today. The instability is also on the lower side of things. It's low comparatively to what we had, like last week on Monday and Tuesday. Still got a lowering in the Norman area. Here's the latest radar scan. Got a hail core developing. It's trying to organize. Here's a live shot again in Norman, Oklahoma on this strong storm. It's not currently severe thunderstorm warned. And we are watching for the potential for this storm to try to produce an isolated tornado risk. Back up in Midwest City as well. We do have a little bit of rotation near Interstate 240 right here. There's a little bit of rotation there that we're watching for. That's near Midwest City, just east of Oklahoma City. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning ongoing there for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Yes, we are currently in Oklahoma City. And the tornado risk, literally anywhere from Oklahoma back into Nebraska, it's very low today. Can't stress that enough. It's a very low risk. We could still have a tornado, though, with that being said. And even down here in Norman, we do have some rotation there. Here's a more zoomed in look, by the way, of the storm in Norman. So again, this is the cyclone port on Radar Omega, the live cam that we have. Again, this would be where we're looking for any sort of rotation. We don't really have any rotation that's reaching the ground or anywhere near it right now on radar. With that being said, we have had a lowering a couple of times. We've had multiple photos of wall clouds. If you want to see those photos, they're on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. Yeah, again, it still has a chance maybe down the road to produce an isolated tornado. Again, StormNet, which is an experimental tool to predict tornado probabilities in the short term, is still giving this a relatively possible chance at least of producing a tornado in the next hour or so. Giving it right now about a 30% chance just to the south and east there of Norman. So this storm definitely still has a chance. They just issued a new special weather statement as well on this storm, mainly for nickel-sized hail as of right now. Have not, again, seen a whole lot of low-level rotation here on radar. With that being said, we could still see an isolated tornado risk try to evolve with this. And here's the temperature, by the way, just dropped substantially in Norman. Here's a live cam view in Norman, Oklahoma. Temperature just dropped 6 degrees in the last, 5 or 6 minutes with this rain-cool air that is moving through Norman. That wind is whipping, though. We definitely have some gusty winds here. Looks like maybe some hail falling there at the bottom right of your screen. Might be losing it. Let's see. Oh, we still have it. And this is live in Norman. You can't even see anymore. About 2 minutes ago, when we were looking at this a few minutes ago, whenever it was, you could see this road. You can't even see it on here anymore. Visibility has gotten reduced substantially here in Norman. Looks like we're at least getting a little bit more. At the bare minimum, we're getting more organization on this storm near Norman. There's at least, I mean, we have a little bit more of that heavy rain core that's going through like the northern side there of Norman. Looks like we're getting a little bit more organization on velocities, but not much. This camera is shaking like crazy. Wind is whipping. And it looks like we're about to have that opening here, so we might be able to see a wall cloud. If there is one with this storm, we'll have a view of that. Most likely, at least. This camera is looking southwest, so it'd be looking in a pretty favorable direction. Kind of reminds me of my hamster when you sip water. I got Circle recently, so yeah, that's gonna be kind of the new thing I think for a while, unless I go back to purely water. There has been a wall cloud reported near the Riverwind Casino. Getting some reports as well of some larger hailstones, perhaps up near quarter size in Norman. Again, this is a storm in Norman right now that has had a bit of a hook here for a while. It is trying to produce at least some rotation. It's been struggling, but it's trying. We are still monitoring the potential here for an isolated tornado risk near the Oklahoma City area. Yeah, if you're in the Oklahoma City area, just east of Oklahoma City, that is in particular where we are looking at more of a damaging wind risk, and we have some stronger rotation near Midwest City. Let's see if that verifies here. We got some strong rotation right now over Midwest City. This is near Interstate 40, just east of Oklahoma City. We got more rotation developing there. It's a bit tighter, and it's also a storm that has intensified quite a bit here. This severe thunderstorm warning, again, is for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That has been a little couplet that I've been looking at for a few minutes, too. So a little bit of rotation there. Wouldn't rule out a brief tornado. Damaging winds, again, is the main concern, but there still is a chance for maybe a brief instance of a tornado here. Once again, I'm going to see if we have any reports on any of these storms. Seeing if anybody has anything from the ground level. Let's go back down to Norman again. And we'll go back and forth between the two storms. Looks like the storm may be gusting out a little bit here near Norman. Still got a chance for some hail. This is the live cam view in Norman. Not really seeing anything as of right now in Norman. This is, again, the live cam view. Still got some rain falling, maybe some small hail. That live cam is on kind of like the gusting side of this, where near Interstate 35, it might be gusting out a little bit. This is the velocities. They'll update here in a second. And that rotation has weakened a lot again back over near Midwest City. We do have a little spot there, though, right near Interstate 40, where there may have been at least something brief, or maybe just some sort of lowering or whatnot in Midwest City, just east of Oklahoma City. Is anybody, by the way, in the Midwest City area? Anybody see anything, hear anything? Because that was pretty close. I mean, that rotation was a bit stronger than before. And by the way, I was talking about the temperature. Very beginning of that storm in Norman, it was 76 degrees. It's down to 67 now. So it's dropped 9 degrees in a very short amount of time. Yeah, it looks like this storm near Norman is kind of losing its grip. It's definitely gusting out. It's a bit more organized in the core, where there's been at least some hail and lightning, but it's definitely a little bit weaker than before. Storm Chaser reported rising scud, but didn't see a tornado. Guessing that's in the Oklahoma City area. We've had a lot of reports of lowerings. I mean, again, I retweeted a bunch of different photos on Twitter of a wall cloud. There's been plenty of reports of a wall cloud at this point. We've yet to have anything confirmed, even close to confirmed. I mean, a lot of it, again, was just wall clouds. And the problem is, again, down in this environment, is that the wind shear in the lower levels is just not nearly as impressive, and the storms themselves are very low top supercells. the instability and the moisture is definitely better comparatively to Nebraska's severe weather, but it's definitely a little bit more tough when you have an environment down here where it's just not nearly as supportive for a tornado risk when it comes to the wind profiles. No problem, Shane. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm gonna real quickly check out Nebraska and Kansas. Just zoom back out real quick. We haven't looked at these states in like 25 minutes, so let's just check out what's happening up here. Mostly strong storms right now across southern parts of Kansas. Main concern right now is going to be the potential for some isolated damaging winds or large hail, but as of now, all these storms are strong, not severe. It would be something to watch for, though, over the long term. Got a cell forming just south of Abilene, Kansas. Main concern with that at this time is going to be gusty winds, but I'm not ruling out some sort of isolated tornado risk or damaging wind risk down the road. Lots of lightning across areas in northern Kansas. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail are possible. And we still have a few severe thunderstorm warnings up here. The majority of these warnings at this time are for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. The one that's in Kansas is 70 miles per hour. We had rotation on these earlier. Rotations died out a lot on these storms. I do think the tornado risk in general in Nebraska is beginning to die out quite a bit. With that being said, I still wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado between now and 7 p.m., especially back down in Kansas. I think that tornado risk will at least live on through about 7 o'clock tonight, so about an hour from now. And then back over in Oklahoma, that is where the severe weather threat is just getting started. It is an isolated risk overall, but damaging winds are going to be the main concern, up to 70 miles per hour, and maybe an isolated tornado. That is really the main concern here for today across areas like Oklahoma, and as well as southern parts of Kansas. All right. A landfill caught on fire in Oklahoma City? Really? From lightning? Got another storm that's back down near Marlow. That is firing up. This is down in southern central Oklahoma. Not really any imminent rotation there, but there's another storm that we'll have to watch for some hail and wind threats as that moves to the east-northeast. A relatively low tornado risk. And here's a live cam from Norman. Very ominous skies here in Norman, Oklahoma now. Also, here's Connor on the storm in Nebraska. Look at that thing on the left side of your screen. Heavy rainfall, possibly a shelf cloud there in the background, and he's on a storm again back up in Scotia, Nebraska. Really impressive view there. This is again in Norman as well, so we're basically looking at two different things. This is in Norman, though. And very ominous skies on the backside of that storm that just rolled through Norman. Temperature again has dropped approximately 10 degrees from that rain-cool air. The dew points have also dropped a little bit. Not sure what the peak wind speed was in here, but it definitely was pretty windy there in Norman for a short time frame there. Severe thunderstorm warning no longer includes Oklahoma City. It does still include Midwest City, Spencer, Choctaw, and Hara, Luther, and Wellston. And again, this warning will go all the way until 6:15 p.m. Central Time. And again, we'll be keeping you posted with the latest on these storms in Oklahoma. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel down below as these storms do continue to evolve. Whoa, this storm just kind of took a little turn here. This is 5:57 p.m. latest radar scan. This one near Norman has been trying. It has that little hook shape again that's trying to develop. Just northeast of Norman, Oklahoma. See what the velocities look like. And the velocities have been very, very weak on these storms thus far. And still not really any rotation on radar. It does look scary on radar, but it has not been really rotating hardly at all at this point. It's been very, very minimal rotation. The only rotation that we've really had up to this point has been from the cloud base, where we've had a few wall cloud photos. Somebody was saying rotation in Wichita, and I'm not really seeing much there. Most of the storms up here in Wichita will be mainly isolated hail producers and isolated gusty winds. Thank you, Red, for the $2 super chat. Oh, that was the thing. Thank you for the $2 super chat. But yeah, I don't see a whole lot of rotation near Wichita right now. I do think the main concern there will be gusty winds and small hail. By the way, do you guys like the new stream overlay so far? And if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to leave those in the chat. This is going to be our new stream overlay, at least to some extent. It's not done yet. Still some imperfections that are not sorted out yet, but the 2 live cameras on the right side of the screen, that'll be there. The warnings at the bottom of the screen will also be there. Those are all the warnings that are currently ongoing. It's going to list them out. Severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, whatever it might be. So that'll be listed out there at the bottom of the screen. All right, here's the latest radar scan, and the storm near Norman has been struggling to rotate. We are mainly looking at a gusty wind threat with that, with hail. There's been some reports as of recently of hail with this storm, and again, just to the east-southeast of Norman, just southeast of Oklahoma City. This will be moving towards areas like Shawnee, Interstate 40 over the next several minutes, and the main concern as of right now is going to be the threat for some gusty winds and small hail. So again, if you are in Newella, McLeod, Interstate 40 area near Norman, again, make sure that you are continuing to monitor the storm very closely as it continues to move to the east-northeast. Thank you, Florida Skyview, for becoming a 7-month moderate velocity member. I do appreciate that, and thank you for the compliment on the overlays. Yeah, again, these overlays took a while to make. I was making them yesterday and the day before. We've been working on them for actually a few days now. So there are some changes. And there will be more changes, by the way. This is not, we're not done. There's still some other stuff that's not on here that will be on there. It's still a prototype. Thank you, Wade, as well, for the generous $10 super chat. How's the threat for more the rest of the night? Very thankful for your work. Well, I appreciate that. Overall, near Moore, Oklahoma, I'm not really expecting much more severe weather. You got about 30 more minutes or so until these storms are really out of here. You still got like maybe an isolated downpour or maybe a rumble of thunder back behind the initial storm activity that developed, but the main concern at this point is winding down for more. All the storms are really going to primarily go off toward the north and east, eventually going to be going towards areas in like Tulsa, for example. Here's a live cam, by the way, in Texas. These are the storms that are firing up back over near German, Texas, near Wichita Falls. These storms are bubbling up. I do want to point out here, this is a really good example of what we're talking about right now in Oklahoma and Texas. These are low-topped supercells, basically meaning that these storms are only going up so high in the atmosphere. And so, like, they're going up maybe 20, 30,000 feet. And the reason why is because the mid and upper level moisture is just so minimal today. So these storms are basically flattening out around 20 to 30,000 feet, and that's really one of the other reasons why these storms are not producing some sort of really significant aspect of severe weather. But yeah, we got a couple of them here. We got one on the right, we got one in the middle, we got one on the left here. A really impressive view there of the storms here in German, Texas. Again, from a distance, this is probably a good 30 to 40 miles to the west. But really solid view and a pretty solid example there of what I'm talking about with low top supercells. With that being said, the winds are very strong. The camera is shaking like crazy. So the winds are still strong here in Texas. And once again, a friendly reminder, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We will be keeping you posted with the latest with severe weather coverage. And we just crossed 145,000 subscribers. So I do appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel. That is a crazy milestone. All right, let's go back to... We'll stay on Norman for now. We are down to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. So the majority of the severe thunderstorm warnings have been coming to an end. The severe thunderstorm warning in Norman was just canceled. So we no longer have that warning in Norman. With that being said, we do have some strong storms. The ones that are back up in Kansas and Nebraska have not been very impressive over the last few minutes. Main concern still damaging winds. But we definitely still have some storms over here in Oklahoma that are still going. Majority of these, though, again, are not severe at this time, but we'll continue to keep a close eye on this as all these storms continue to move to the east. I think the next storm that we'll have to really watch for, well, this one near Norman, and then the other one that's back over near Pauls Valley. So 2 different storms that I'll be watching for closely over the next few minutes. Thank you, Shane, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate your generosity. What can we expect tonight in Manhattan, Kansas? So Manhattan, Kansas, back up here just west of Topeka. The main concern here will be damaging winds. It's going to be a more isolated to widely scattered threat by the time the storms get there. That's anytime between now and 8 o'clock. I wouldn't also rule out the chance for some isolated large hail, maybe a brief tornado, but the main concern will be damaging winds up until about 8 o'clock or so. This is Connor Croft storm chasing in Nebraska. And very ominous skies there. He's kind of in a little notch there of dry air. Near Timber Creek. Sorry, I was trying to read that name. It's small. Bottom right of your screen, it says the names. Thank you, Guy, as well for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. And also thank you, Kaz, for the $1.99. Hope to see Northern Plains coverage this year. There definitely will be at some point. I almost can assure you that. If there's severe weather, we'll probably be live for it at some point. Nope, not severe, just a good spring rain. That's how you want to look at it. Good spring rain across much of these areas. Some of these storms, I mean, the ones in Nebraska and Kansas, these have been the worst. I mean, if you look at all these blue boxes here, these are all different storm reports of wind gusts between 50 to 70 miles per hour that have been confirmed. Our highest wind speed thus far today has been 75 miles per hour, and it's this one just southeast of Broken Bow. So these winds have been high across Kansas and Nebraska. With that being said, we really have not had much of a tornado risk materialize. The moisture, again, just a big issue with this event up here in Nebraska and Kansas. I mentioned this earlier, we probably would have had at least some sort of small-scale tornado outbreak if the dew points were like 15 degrees higher. So these have definitely not gotten to that point. But with that being said, we've definitely had a lot of damaging winds, that's for sure, which can definitely be worse than tornadoes depending on the situation. Also in Ansley, we do have a damage report coming in from there. It was a couple hours ago, but I'm just seeing this now. Report from social media for damage to a roof with shingles lifted up and blown away in Ansley, Nebraska. That's where Connor Croft actually was a little while ago, chasing those storms. So that has happened over there. Here's a live cam in Burlington, Kansas. This is just east of that severe thunderstorm watch, and this is an area that will see probably some storms here in an hour or two. But as of right now, sunny skies. Clouds on the left side of your screen would be the cloud tops, the overshooting cloud tops back over in central eastern Kansas. And I think this is one of the cooler views that we have right now. Wow, this has changed a lot in the last few minutes. Let me take off the top left thing. I think it's this. There you go. Top left of your screen, that's the clouds, or those are the clouds, that's the storm, I should say, that has been blowing up over the last few minutes. It's actually, you can't even really see it on the screen anymore. That's how high the storm has gone up in size. Right side of your screen is a much better example, though, in my opinion, of the overall storm growing. Look at that right there. That storm on the very right. Let me move my pen. But that storm blowing up right there. That's a storm that's growing in size again near Wichita Falls, Texas. So storms are developing even in North Texas right now. Thank you, Raina, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate it. Welcome to the velocities. Thank you. This camera is still shaking too. It's a lot of wind today. Lots and lots of wind in these areas. And as I mentioned before, there is an elevated fire risk tonight. And that is primarily going to be across areas in West Texas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, as well as back into Southwest Kansas. If you know anybody in those areas, make sure to let them know to not be lighting any fires tonight or today. Obviously, make sure you're doing your part and not littering any sort of cigarette butts or anything like that, as there is definitely going to be a chance there for some wildfires, unfortunately, due to the fact that we have really, really favorable conditions for wildfires. There's a high risk, by the way, back over in Southwest Kansas and the Oklahoma Panhandle for wildfires tonight and today. Mainly today, but tonight as well. Very low humidity and very high winds do not mix well, unfortunately. Do still have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. Most of these go until either 6:15 or 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Main concern right now is going to be damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Overall, the severe weather has become a bit more scattered at this point. It was a lot more numerous a little while ago. Again, we are still monitoring the isolated chance for maybe an isolated tornado here over the next little while. Back over again near Wichita Falls, these storms are firing up pretty quickly right now. Not even going to rule out maybe a brief tornado instance with these storms either. We actually do have a little bit of rotation maybe trying to develop there near Wichita Falls, but I would say the main concern right now is going to be damaging winds if any of these storms do go severe. We'll go back to this live cam just for a second. Thank you, Ryan Sharp, for the 199 super chat. Wow, I'm going to take this off again. This is a really cool view of this storm. Where is it? It is right here. There you go. Yeah, we got storm now hitting the equilibrium level in this particular environment, which is not too far up off the ground. It's like 30,000 feet. So a lot of these storm clouds are going to be flattening out around that level. But again, lots of storm clouds developing here in Texas. This is again in German Texas right now. Pretty impressive storm. Thank you again, Ryan Sharp, for the 199 super chat. Any updates on the eclipse cloud coverage in Illinois and Indiana? The only update I have is from the forecast this morning. I highly recommend you go watch the forecast from this morning. That has like literally all the details. I did a full detail breakdown region by region in that forecast today on the solar eclipse and what you can expect. So if you are looking for a forecast for the solar eclipse, make sure to watch that video. I go anywhere from South Texas into the Midwest and as well as back up into the Northeast with a full detailed breakdown on that. Everything done in MWC? What is MWC? Should I know that pronunciation? Trying to think. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know what that is. How much rain have we gotten in Duncan, Oklahoma? I could not tell you. Have you even gotten any out of this event yet? You might have gotten a little bit. Yeah, it looks like you've gotten some. My presumption, if I were to guess here, would probably be about 1.5 inches of rain. Just due to the fact you kind of have this train of showers and storms going southwest to northeast there. So I wouldn't rule out that it was a little bit on the higher side there. My power is out in Duncan. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully it comes back soon. Do you know if it was just from winds or was there high winds there in Duncan? Or is there like a lot of lightning or something? Midwest City. Oh, okay. Midwest City. I didn't know there was an abbreviation for that. Yeah, Midwest City is definitely done. Yeah, sorry. Gotcha. Yeah, that's not a pronunciation, or an abbreviation, I should say. An abbreviation that I knew of up until now. It's another live cam in Norman, Oklahoma. And ominous skies, but the storms right now in the Norman area are winding down. A lot of the storm activity actually across much of Oklahoma is definitely weakening. Really where I would be watching for some storms here over the next 30 minutes is going to be right along the Red River Valley in South Oklahoma and North Texas. Not ruling out some isolated, at least isolated threat for some gusty winds with those storms as they do continue to move to the northeast. Maybe a slightly higher severe weather risk as they continue to develop over that direction as well. All right, sorry. I was looking at something. Max is the best weather reporter. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm not really a reporter, though. I'll call myself... I mean, I would say a reporter is more of something that's in the field. Even though it's more than anything just a storm chaser. Will Nashville be affected? Not today. Tomorrow, I'll kind of go day by day here and give you a quick rundown of the severe weather risk after today. You have a large marginal threat of severe weather right now across much of the Mississippi Valley. This goes from southern Illinois back into Louisiana. The main concern with this will be primarily for the threat of damaging winds. There will be a slightly more elevated tornado risk as we go into tomorrow, and that will be primarily in western Tennessee and northwest Mississippi. But I wouldn't rule out a slightly higher tornado risk. I do think the Storm Prediction Center may issue a small 5% tornado risk tomorrow, similar to what they did today back over in southern Nebraska. But main concern overall is going to be the potential for damaging winds and an isolated tornado risk. Now, after tomorrow, things get hairy, and it all begins on Monday with Solar Eclipse Monday. There will be an elevated risk for severe weather. Notice right now that the Storm Prediction Center already has a slight risk for severe weather, and that includes areas like Texas, Oklahoma, western Louisiana, southwest Arkansas. Now, the main concern in this entire area is going to be large to very large hail on Monday. I will be doing a full detailed forecast on this in tomorrow's forecast, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We'll be going into in-depth dive here on this particular area of storm. So again, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll be keeping you posted with the latest as these storms do develop on Monday. And we'll probably also have a solar eclipse live stream, so there's a chance we have 2 different live streams. Once we go into Tuesday, tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday, we have another slight risk of severe weather. That includes, again, pretty much the same exact area. Large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes will be possible on Tuesday. Wednesday, which is Wacky Weather Wednesday, it's going to get wacky because we're talking almost about the same exact area on Wednesday. Again, another slight risk of severe weather on Wednesday for the lower Mississippi Valley. Again, all modes of severe weather will be possible with damaging winds and large hail being the main concerns, but I wouldn't rule out a slightly higher tornado risk on Wednesday. It's not done there. We're not stopping because we have another slight risk of severe weather in the southeast on tossing trampolines on tall trees Thursday, and that includes areas like South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and southeast Alabama. So it's going to be a pretty wacky next 5 to 6 days. I'll say that. So it is likely that we will have multiple live streams. Multiple. A solid chance that we are going to have upwards of, like, I don't know, 6 live streams at least, maybe over the next, like, 6 days. So it's going to get active. With all that being said, make sure again that you are subscribed to the channel, and we will be keeping you posted with the latest as these events all unravel, as it is going to be a very active next several days. Sun is shining, but it's raining. Sounds like a normal day in the Southern Plains. Wow. Wow, that's impressive. This is in Sherman, Texas. These are the storms that have been blowing up over the last few minutes. Really cool effect with the sunshine and everything. I mean, we got a little rain shaft there. That's kind of the most irrelevant thing. But this is, again, in Sherman, Texas, near Wichita Falls, with those storms that have been blowing up there. Really impressive view here of those storms. The wind is still whipping here. Paducah has a low risk for severe weather. Again, it's low across the board tomorrow. Once again, if you want to check out some of the photos of the wall cloud from Norman from earlier, Norman, Oklahoma, feel free to check it out on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. If you have any photos that you've taken from yourself that you want to send in to us, feel free to send it in to us on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. But once again, the main threat of severe weather, I think, is going to be winding down here over the next little while. Still a risk of severe weather really through about 8 o'clock tonight, 8:30. 9 o'clock or so through areas in really primarily back over in eastern Kansas, but I do think that threat is going to be dwindling just a little bit here over the next little while. Yeah, this is a pretty cool view again in Sherman, Texas of this storm. Not severe, but This is still a pretty impressive view there. Camera is shaking right now. Hey, Remington, appreciate it. A tornado during the eclipse would be eerie looking. I don't think we're gonna have a tornado during the eclipse. That would be crazy, but if we go into the computer models here, just kind of go to that time frame right around 1 o'clock on 1 o'clock on Monday. There's no storms at all. So the severe weather risk on Monday is going to be after the eclipse. It'll probably be during the late afternoon, evening, and into the overnight hours for most of Texas. So overall, the severe weather risk is going to at least hold itself for a little while. With that being said, there is still a chance for a couple tornadoes on Monday. I am planning on being live on Monday. I'm planning on being live on Tuesday, possibly on Wednesday. Very unlikely on Thursday because I have an exam that Friday. So we will be live at least, so I think Monday and Tuesday, and we'll go from there. And also, we might even go live tomorrow. I'm thinking of two different things for tomorrow. Either one, we'll do a solar eclipse weather forecast in detail. I might do something like that for a live stream, but we also might go live for that severe weather in the Mississippi Valley. Even though it's a marginal threat, I wouldn't rule out a couple of tornadoes tomorrow. I'll see what the environment looks like by tomorrow, but overall that risk is going to be primarily across areas in the lower Mississippi Valley. I'll be watching if you're in like western Tennessee, northeastern parts of Arkansas, western Kentucky, or southern Illinois. Be mindful of an isolated tornado or two. They may increase to a slight risk tomorrow. We'll see. They did mention it in their latest outlook. Not set in stone, but it is definitely possible. False info. What is false about what I just said? This is all factual. Some of it is a forecast for the record, but... What about Joplin, Missouri? I'm not expecting any tornadoes there, at least over the next couple of days. And very, very, very low risk of... Right now, it's a low risk of tornadoes for Monday or Sunday and Monday, but Monday or Sunday in particular, it's a low risk. It would not include Missouri, though. Or maybe it does for southeast Missouri, but it wouldn't include western Missouri. Let's go back to this. Yeah, so like Cape Girardeau is technically in that area for tomorrow. The Sykeston area. So if I were to outline like the greatest area for severe weather, for at least on Sunday, it would be really right in here. I know it's a small area, but that would be like where I'm looking at least for a target area on Sunday for a slightly more elevated tornado risk. So we'll see what happens. And as of right now, it's quite the low risk. It's not really anything too crazy, but it definitely could get upgraded as we get closer. Do have some damaging wind, or possibly some damaging winds trying to ramp up here just south of Maysville. Mainly, as of right now, it's a gusty wind concern, up to 45, 50 miles per hour. I'm not seeing any rotation in the Oklahoma suburbs at this point. Most of these storms, again, are kind of just weakening out, at least for now. The only ones that I would say are trying to intensify are the ones that are down here. So anywhere from Pauls Valley back into Wichita Falls, where, again, we had a pretty impressive view of the storms here in German, Texas, where the storms are beginning to ramp up here in north central Texas. What am I studying? I am studying meteorology. Currently 3 years through my bachelor's of meteorology. So 1 more year to go. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning just to the north of Junction City that goes for 8 more minutes, by the way. Overall, damaging winds is the main concern, but that area of storms has also been weakening. I do think a lot of the storms right now across Kansas, Nebraska, and as well as back through Oklahoma are actually kind of weakening at this point, even though the severe weather risk technically goes through 9 o'clock here in Kansas and 8 o'clock in Nebraska. I do think the threat of severe weather has really weakened over the last little while in Nebraska. I do think still damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, maybe a brief tornado may occur. If you're back down in Kansas, I think there is a better chance in Kansas for a slightly more elevated severe weather risk comparatively to Nebraska through about 8:30 to 9 o'clock tonight. Isolated large hail, isolated damaging winds will be possible, and again, maybe an isolated tornado, but I think the tornado risk is overall going to be going downhill from here, but we'll kind of see what happens. With that being said, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning as we say that. That's just north of Wichita. This is mainly for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That's really about it. Not really too impressive of a storm right now, but damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour will be possible with that storm as it moves off to the north. Not sure why, but the warning counter stopped updating at the bottom. Or, like the warning counter, but the warning thing at the bottom of the screen. Not sure what happened there. Oh, there it is. Never mind. It's updating. The other warning may have been canceled or something like that. The one that's back up in northern Kansas. I'm not 100% sure. It still shows on here, but that may have been canceled or just the warning got registered as something else. I don't know. Can I post my Twitter page? Yeah, I'll post a link to it in chat. It's also all of our social media links, including Discord, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. They're all in the description below, but I did post the link in the chat. What time is the eclipse Monday? It depends on where you are. I would highly recommend just looking up your location or general area and getting an idea of that eclipse time. If you're in the total eclipse, obviously make sure that you are looking at the total eclipse time and not the partial eclipse time, because the partial eclipse time is not going to be nearly as cool to watch as the total eclipse time frame. I would highly recommend looking that up on Google, because I'm not going to go, place by place going through that, because it would just take way too long. With that being said, just look it up on Google. It's going to be anywhere between about 1 o'clock Central Time up until I think like 3 o'clock Eastern Time, depending on where you are. So it begins in Texas and it'll go all the way through the Northeast. It's a night and day difference, by the way, on the right side of the screen with the 2 live cams that I have set up. We got Lantana, Texas, where it's like almost sunny skies, and then we got Connor Croft in Nebraska, where it's just ominous and really just stormy all day. We will, by the way, at some point here soon, I'm going to give you a little teaser, okay? But it is likely that we are going to have at least 3 dozen more live cams here in the United States that we'll have access to. I know it might not sound like a lot, but it's going to be a pretty big deal. They're all across the country. Again, just a little teaser. Not confirmed, but it's something that will probably happen here soon. So, big deal there. We are going to have more overlays as well, where there will be as many as 6 live cameras on the screen at one time that we can, just pan out to, kind of look at everything. And, obviously we'll still have this, but big stuff is coming. Again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's going to be a wild ride here over the next, really the next few months as these upgrades continue to keep coming here for the live streams. And again, all of this is not possible without all of our channel members. I do want to thank anyone that has become a member of our channel here over the last several months. We are up to nearly 300 members that are reoccurring. These are not gifted members. These are just purely people that have become members. I really want to thank all of you guys that have become members here on the channel. We're currently at 284 reoccurring members. I think we're at 290 now, including this live stream. So we're at like 290. We're only 10 members away from 300, which is crazy. Again, if you want to become a member, you can click the link in the description. It's like the top link. You can also click the join button down below if you want to support the page above and beyond. It helps us be able to do upgrades like this. All the live cams and all that sort of stuff, those upgrades are all coming from the membership fund. So again, I do appreciate you guys a lot. We have now almost 300 members. We only had like 100, I think, as of like 2 months ago. So it's a huge increase overall. But again, I do really appreciate all of you that are members. And even if you just watch the stream, it obviously helps out a lot as well. But yeah, a lot of big upgrades are coming. We got a lot of stuff coming. I'm really excited for the next few months with the upgrades that we'll be doing, the severe weather live streams. It'll feel like more of a production more than or not like a production, but basically it'll be better quality overall for these live streams, and we'll have a lot more access to live cams across the country that will be in some of these severe weather risk areas. So again, really excited about that. With all that being said, do want to quickly pan to this. This is from the National Weather Service of Norman. There's a fire warning for a dangerous wildfire southwest of Sharon in Woodward County. So be prepared to evacuate if you're in that area. Do not drive into smoke. Unfortunately, wildfires are going to be a concern tonight in Texas, mainly West Texas, the Texas Panhandle, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and as well as back over into Southwest Kansas. So unfortunately, that is something that is going to become a growing concern. Again, that is in the that was again in Sharon County, or sorry, that was in Sharon in Woodward County. So if you know anybody there, just make sure to give them a call or text, make sure they're doing all right. And yeah. Alrighty. Well, I think that's going to do it for today's live stream. I do think the severe weather risk is going to be diminishing quite a bit over the next couple hours. Obviously, make sure to have multiple ways to receive alerts. Have a tornado action plan in place just in case one of these storms decides to go rogue. But once again, I do appreciate you guys all tuning in. Excited for the future. Again, a lot of things are coming. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the page above and beyond, you become a member for as little as $2.99 a month. It supports the page a ton and helps us be able to do a lot of these upgrades. Again, that is the top link in the description below. It's also the join button down below if you want to do that. And also thank you for 145,000 subscribers. We just passed that today. I do appreciate you guys a lot. Again, next live stream might be tomorrow. If not, Monday will be our next live stream. So again, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. My God. And make sure that you are, again, staying weather aware for the next few hours, as there is still a low chance for severe weather. It's not zero. With that being said, I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your afternoon or evening, and we will see you guys either again tomorrow or on Monday. Most likely Monday. If not tomorrow, will be our next chance for a live stream. And we'll have a video as well tomorrow at some point for a in-depth dive of the severe weather coming soon. Also, thank you, Gordon, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. I appreciate that a lot. And thank you to anybody else that became a member today. If you did something as simple as subscribing, I appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you as well if you liked the stream. Have a great day. We'll see you guys all again in the next one.